hello, people. It's your standing guest, Ed, standing in for Dan for your fortnightly Pixels and Pints episode. I'm here, as always, with Tom.
Hello.
And Peter.
Howdy. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of shit.
we are. And, see what off the cuff as always.
We're real loose and fast this episode too, so it's going to be an interesting one. But obviously with Dan gallivanting around the world, we thought we'd get you back onto the show. As always, Ed, you're a barrel of laughs.
Welcome back.
Glad to be here. Glad to be a bench player, and when coach makes the call, the star bench warmer will make his appearance.
Yeah, sub me in, coach. I'm ready. Put me on. Put me on.
I'm limber, sir. I'm limber.
Shall we kick off with some beers?
Yes, let's do it.
Well, as the guest, on your bike, son, what are you drinking?
Get on it. I am starting off with a good WA beer from the Margaret River. Well, they say they're from the Margaret River, but it's Bass, which is more Basso if you're WA local. So it's a Cheeky Monkey. Hazy Pale Ale. 4%. 30 IBU. So it is a New World Hazy Pale Ale, according to their beer speak. Aroma is tropical and citrus. Got a funky little, you can see it, little kind of... Lighting's probably not the best. Cracked a can of this earlier today, and it's nice. It's tropical, it's juicy, it's hazy. They don't tell you too much about it for hops and everything like that, but yeah, I like it. It's definitely refreshing. It is. I would definitely buy it again. I was thinking before it'd be the perfect type of tap beer to start an afternoon off.
Yeah. Oh, yes, we love a session kicker offer.
Yeah, so being 4%, it'd be a nice kind of get yourself ready for the afternoon and the evening.
Definitely.
See there the colours. It's quite hazy. It's nice. So yeah,
it's dark.
Very dark, but yeah, 4% and does the job.
Yeah, nice.
I'm going to give that a good 4.25.
Yeah, wow.
Since I'm standing in for Dan, I'm going to do the quarter points.
The quarter points.
I'll join him on that hill.
Good to see he's not alone.
That's it.
Tom, what are you drinking, mate?
I am drinking a Seeker Brewing West Coast Pilsner, and this is featuring an experimental hop, HBC 522. It pours lovely and crisp. It's slight like haze, chill haze to it, but I would say that's probably naturally been filtered out. It is nice and West Coasty in terms of like it's a big hit of like bitterness up front, but it's very, very light. Did I say what? 5.8%. I don't know if I said that before. But yeah, it's very enjoyable. Probably I'd rather have one of the Cheeky Monkey Hazy Pales to start off before digging into this. The bitterness is quite up front. Yeah, HBC 522. I haven't had a real quick. It's a new experimental hop. It's part of Yakima Chief hops, which are from the US from memory, part of their new hops breeding program. So it's a mix between Cascade and Centennial hops.
Oh, both very classic hops.
Yeah, and classics for West Coast as well. So it's the perfect kind of thing for that flavor profile. So yeah, I really like it whenever breweries get like a new hop to play with, and it's especially when I think the hop hybrid breeding program is fascinating. I love reading those articles when they pop up on, Beer and Brewer or Crafty Pine or something.
Well, they've got a huge body of research to draw from in the marijuana space. I mean, they've been crossbreeding that species of plants, so or at least a relative, for a long time to do a lot of different things. So
yeah. But yeah, that's really, really nice. Let me phrase it. It's really, really nice if you like the West Coast style.
Yeah.
If you're not
fucking do.
Yeah, well, but if you're not really big, as for the listeners, if you're not really big on that really citrusy bitterness, like almost not quite pithy, but like quite citrusy bitter, it'll probably be a little bit like affronting for you. But a really, really smooth, nice finish. I'm going to give that a solid 4.5. That's great off the bat.
Nice.
Well done.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
Seeker have been churning out some very quality beers lately. We've had a few. Yeah. Excellent. Peter, what do you got?
I've got one that I've been sitting on for a little while, and I've gone the same route as Ed and started with something nice and light and refreshing. This is Slow Lane Brewing's Woodchip. If I block my face out, I'll actually focus.
Mm-hmm.
This is a barrel-aged table beer coming in at a nice and opening 3.5% ABV. But I got to say, it punches well above its weight. The barrel aging process really gives it a what's the word I'm looking for? A heaviness to it that you wouldn't expect out of a 3.5% table beer. Usually at that kind of lower ABV, you end up with quite a watery beer with not a whole lot of flavor. It's just got that. It's not quite strong enough to be called like a farmhouse twang, but it's on that spectrum. It's got a bit of a flavor, an unexpected strength of flavor to it for a 3.5. It's actually not the first time I've had it because I bought 2 of these. And I got to say, it really does punch above its weight. I'm going to give it a 4.5 as well.
Big
starting off strong, boys.
Yeah. Now, the thing that makes this, and I'm just looking at it now, so they use SARS hops. It's a very light, almost Czech Pilsner in color. You probably can't see it.
Sure.
And so just looking at the malt bill and the flavor profile, so they use an ale malt with rolled wheat and rolled oats, SARS hops, and Hallertau Mittelfrüh, which I think we've butchered before. Yep.
Dan usually jumps in here and corrects you with how to pronounce it.
Yeah, exactly. And Motoeka hops. But it uses Belgian ale and Brettanomyces, which is what's giving it its barrel-aged kind of oomph, if you like.
Funk.
Yeah.
Brett funk.
It's got that real nice funkiness too. So, for a fucking 3.5%, you're getting a full-flavored beer at a very low ABV. Yeah. I'm very impressed with that. Yes. That's a nice way to start the show.
Excellent.
I've got a corker of an ender. I think I've got a 12.5% I'm considering throwing in at the end. I'm not quite sure.
Oh, dear.
So I thought I'd pace myself. Anyway, on to some news, I think.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Yes, let's go into the news. That was my morning, was putting all this news together. So I think the big one, just to kick it off, is for those who do use the PlayStation Plus service, there's a price increase which has kicked in last week. And not an insignificant jump, you might say.
It's a kick in the balls kind of increase.
I fucking hate companies doing this. They hide, and it's just an opinion, right? There's no attachment to reality, but I feel like, particularly with like COVID, for example, COVID customer service went out the window, and a whole bunch of legitimate organizations suffered terribly from the issues associated with COVID. But it seems like every company for like 2 years after the COVID event occurred were, I'm sorry for our slow customer service due to COVID. I'm like, how is it due to COVID? That's fucking horse shit. You're a call center.
Hey, you got to roll with it while you can.
Your agents are working from home and you're in a virtual call center. Ain't COVID done shit. Anyway, and I feel like it's the same here. Like, prices are on the rise, inflation's flat, mortgage prices are going up a huge amount, and then every company jumps on the bandwagon and says, cost of living pressures, we have to put our pricing up. No. Cost of living pressures are as a result of you fuckers putting your pricing up, particularly for a synthetic product like this.
Yeah.
Anyway, rant over. Carry on.
For a luxury item, essentially what it can be deemed as a luxury item, and it's like 20% as well.
Yeah.
Where if it went up, $4 or $5, you'd be like, yeah, you kind of wear it. But when it goes up like $20 and $30, you're like, ouch, man.
Well,
like
$45 in the case of. Anyway, sorry, Tom, we stole your thunder. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm actually the opposite. I'm fine with it. I think the amount of value I personally get out of it, and this is what we all talked about, is I've easily already paid off the $200 in terms of the games I'll get, like just this month alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think like I know it really hurts the people who,
the uni students.
Well, no, I was thinking more just people who have to buy PlayStation Plus because the games they enjoy have online multiplayer and they need PlayStation Plus to play online.
Yeah.
I think that's the people who get hit even because they're probably only going to use the essential level for that. Like, if you're not going to go through the back catalog, you don't need any of the other levels. But yeah, a 20% price hike just so you can play online with your mates. I think that's the only bit that I'm like, come on, Sony, like, don't be a dick.
I only have it for the rare occasion that I want to just kill some brain cells and drive around in a circle in Gran Turismo 7 type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like, that's one of those games where I'll kind of download it for a weekend because I've got nothing else. I don't really want to think about anything else, any other type of like think of a story, anything like that. And then by the time the weekend's done, I'm kind of, it gets deleted. I'm back on my horse, ready to get lost in the story. But yeah, I can understand when, someone like yourself, Tom, who'll go off and just absolutely pilfer, destroy the back catalog, because kudos to you, because at least someone's like taking it for a ride.
Using
like,
it.
it's good because that's it. Like if you've got like a long list of backlog and are committed to get through it in a period of time,
the problem is
getting used to it.
It has diminishing returns. There's a slump in the middle, in my opinion. In like if you need to play some really old games, then it makes sense to use the subscription. If you want to play some recent games, it makes sense to use the subscription. But the slump in the middle is where you can walk into EB Games and pick up a secondhand copy of Red Dead Redemption for $6. Like, there's a lot of stuff in a lot of people's backlogs that were AAA titles 2 or 3 years ago you can get for nothing. So it is a balancing act. Now, in the case of Tom gets through like 8 games a fucking month, right? Even with secondhand bargains, you wouldn't be able to.
Back in the lockdown days, I definitely was. Yeah.
But you get my point. Like, you get your value out of it, whereas I don't. My AAA title backlog, Spider-Man. I think Miles Morales might have been offered as part of the subscription. I don't know. I've deleted it now, so I can't even go and check, I guess. I mean, they may rip it off my console, so that'll tell me pretty quickly. But Red Dead Redemption, I own a copy of.
Yeah.
A lot of the AAA titles that are in my backlog that I need to go back and finish, I actually purchased. So for the cost of $200, I just, I compare that to, so Xbox Game Pass is the equivalent of, well, the tiering's a little bit different, but Xbox Game Pass is essentially what I needed to play Starfield on the day of release. So day one titles, AAA titles, and it's $12 a month, which is the equivalent of $168, which is slightly more expensive than the top tier of PS used to be.
Yeah.
But PSPlus super duper extra fucking deluxe edition has gone up from $155 a year to $197 a year.
Yeah.
So
yes, I mean, and then the essential's gone from $80 to $95. Like that's a decent price.
That's the kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
That's the one I think it's the hardest, like the hardest pill to swallow, because if unless you are kind of someone who plays through backlogs like I do and goes looking for new games through those catalogs, like there's no reason to go for the deluxe. You don't get anything else. It's like even when they do PlayStation, like when you get PlayStation Plus discounts on the store, they're universal. You just have to have a membership kind of thing. But yeah. So for me, it's kind of like I'm going to use it. But yeah, I definitely think the 20% hike on someone who's just using it just to casually play online with mates or doing that, that's probably a harder justification to continue paying it than someone that like uses it like me. And it's pretty universal. Like it's actually been funny, like looking at couple of the like trophy groups I'm in and just seeing how it's split down the middle. Like some people are like, yeah, it's fine. And then some other people are like, no, that's it. I'm canceling PlayStation. I'm throwing my PS5 out the window. Fuck this. Fuck Sony. Just like
so my decision making.
Champ, yeah.
So I've gone from the deluxe edition back to the bog standard subscription, or the lowest tier that allows me to access online games, because clearly I play online games, or I play single player games with online features in them. But there was no emotion behind it. It was more just, is this worth as much as my Netflix subscription? And the answer was no.
Which is what we discussed as well. It's like, we've cut out Apple Plus at home because we just weren't using it. It's like, why am I paying for this still? Like,
yeah.
And I've bailed on Stan, and I think we're all starting to make those decisions as the world marches inexorably towards charging you a monthly fee for fucking everything. We're going from, oh my God, Netflix, this is amazing, it's only $8 a month, to I've got 11 subscriptions and they keep bumping the price up every month. And now, like, it's more expensive than Foxtel. And we all used to sit there and bitch about Foxtel's expensiveness.
Yeah.
So,
and like that's the whole reason why everyone abandoned Foxtel, because they just had all those extra channels that charge you more for it.
or it was all filler channels, and you were basically just buying one or two channels for each subscription tier.
Yeah. And then now that's what streaming services are like, because everyone's worked out that if they go it alone, they can make a heap more money than
Now,
and then someone will come along, as we've said, and group them all together, and it'll be the new version of Foxtel. And then
but
the cycle continues.
So I think Xbox Live Gold is your online equivalent of like the starter tier for PlayStation. That's $11 a month. So it's $132. So it's actually more expensive for the entry level tier for Xbox than it is for PlayStation. But the top tier, if you're only playing on console, mind you, is cheaper. It's $168 against $197.
Okay.
But with Xbox, you get day one releases, don't you?
Correct. So it's got higher value and it's cheaper in price, in my opinion. But the one thing that you can do is you can bump your Xbox Game Pass subscription up to the top tier, and it applies to both PC games and console games. So you can play AAA titles on day one of release on your PC or your Xbox. And that's $19 a month, which is fucking expensive. But if you're playing video games across those two platforms,
Yeah, if you have a good enough PC, it's, do you need a Steam store? Like, kind of thing, like,
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Well, that's the first bit of news. That's 20 minute later. We'll get through. Oh no! It must be one of our recordings. So I think Peter was very impressed with me that I've managed to group all the news into little segments, which I give myself a pat on the back for. Well done, Thomas. Next bit, I'm going to stick with PlayStation for the next couple of bits. The PS Portal, even though it's releasing on November 15th, it's not releasing in Australia, which is a bit of a bummer. They have said on the PlayStation blog, it will launch in the US, UK, France, Germany, Austria, Belgium, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Canada, and Japan. They are the first wave countries that are getting a release of the handheld Wi-Fi streaming device that is the PlayStation Portal. Did I say Portal before? I think I did.
I think
I meant to say
I wonder
Portal.
why. I wonder why selectively release it, considering it's Wi-Fi only. So it's not like they
because they know that Australian Wi-Fi is shit. So they're punishing us.
We're not talking about internet. We're talking about wireless. So it's Wi-Fi V6 in your house, or it's not. But like, if I would understand if this was internet streaming, like they've done companies have done in the past. They've measured the average internet latency and availability, and Australia just gets a big fucking X of death. We're up there with like Southeast Asian countries where people steal the copper out wiring and your internet goes down. Port Moresby. But Wi-Fi, like, come on, man, it's a fucking standard.
I reckon it's them basing it off those countries that had the better sales of maybe like the PlayStation Portable and the Vita and things like that.
Yeah, I was just about to say it's got to be some type of kind of sales record that they've gone off.
Yeah, or maybe they even look at like Switch sales. Like that might be another thing because they know people like are going to use that size handheld.
Yeah, right.
But yes, it's a bit of a bummer, but hopefully we'll get on the second wave of launch. There's no date on that, so if you were planning to get one for someone for Christmas, I would be holding your breath. That's not necessarily going to happen. But hey, we'll move right on. Baldur's Gate 3 had a launch recently on the PS5 after a month advance on PC, something like that, 3 weeks to a month.
Yeah.
And I found this pretty cool. The guys at Digital Foundry have stated that the PS5 version is running at the same visual specs as the Ultra mode on PC. So that's pretty good. It's had a bit this and this is one of the big games that's launched in the last month. That and obviously Starfield, which I'm sure we'll talk about to death later
at length.
Yes.
I would say I think, and this might get some backlash, I don't know, but I think of the two games, Baldur's Gate 3 is far more likely to pick up the Game of the Year award if it's based on the actual game's quality as opposed to the loudness of the fans.
And a much smaller studio as well.
Larian's made a grand total of 3 games. This is such an amazing success story.
I, from what I've seen for Baldur's Gate 3, and now that it's released on PS5, I want to check out some footage because I saw something a few weeks ago that the actual, you can get different camera angles for controller.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty cool. It's kind of like in Starfield with the different kind of visual, camera angles, which is because the first thing that kind of put me off with Baldur's Gate 3 was that kind of top down, Divinity, because that's that type of games. Because that's kind of I've never really played too much about it, but seeing that you've got the different angles, kind of.
Well, I mean, look, let's maybe park this further discussion on BG3 just until we get to our spotlight, which is all about RPGs anyway. Because I don't have quite a lot to say on BG3 specifically, but certainly Larian Studios and their ability to make an RPG will factor into that spotlight pretty heavily. But on your camera, it's not an infinitely variable camera. If it's anything like the other games, it's on a wire, so you can change your angle around your characters. But you go from an isometric view, you can smoothly zoom in and it'll scoop at the end.
Yeah, okay.
But you kind of imagine it on a wire, not really on the camera, but it's got a fixed sequence as it pulls away.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 250,000 plus Steam reviews mark it as overwhelmingly positive. It's got to be one of the highest rated by gamers games of all time. And yeah, Starfield, I mean, you've written 1 million concurrent players on launch day and 6 million players so far. But not all the reviews are positive. And we'll talk about that later on as well, I think.
Yep. And obviously onto my favorite bit of news. If you still have your PSPlus subscription after the price hike, the 3 new games you get for September. The brand new Saints Row is I've already downloaded it. I'll definitely get stuck into that, having played
some more news at the end on that one.
Yeah, see how I linked them together? Well done, Thomas. There's also Black Desert, which is a fantasy MMORPG, which looked a bit survivally as well. Added some of those aspects to that one. And then Generation Zero, which is a co-op shooter. You play in the 1980s in Sweden, and essentially it's Terminator. You're fighting machines, and but kind of, and it's like a mix between it's a Terminator setting in Sweden, and then it's got a bit of Last of Us, scarcity of ammo. You've got to craft your weapons to upgrade them, kind of thing. So you can either play that solo or with 3 to 4 players in co-op. So
okay, cool.
It looks interesting, but it's I don't know if it's everyone's cup of tea. But yes, moving on from that news. So Saints Row has been made by Volition Studios. So they were purchased by the Embracer Group, and unfortunately have shut down after 30 years of making games.
We talked about Embracer Group closing down some other recent acquisitions because they had all this capital to
shot
spend.
The moon.
They bought a bunch of fucking studios, and then someone pulled funding, and they're like, "Oh fuck."
Then why buy it if you're going to ditch this?
Well, I don't think that was the plan. I mean, I don't understand that too well, but yeah, if someone pulls funding, there's not much you can do.
So yes, they said that the only reason they shut down was part of the restructuring of the Embracer Group and all their properties. But they've been they've been around for 30 years. The
crazy,
Summoner series was one of their games. They've made all the Saints Row, Red Faction. I don't know if you guys ever played that, which was the Destruction-y on Mars one. Yeah, they made one of the great Punisher tie-in games. Actually, it wasn't even a tie-in game. It was just a Punisher game, but it was like you went full Punisher. I remember you had to use a drill on someone's head. It was just so stupid and like punishery.
Hitman.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. But yeah, it's a real shame. Like I really like the Saints Row games.
Especially I never got into them.
They just became so stupid and silly. 3 and 4, like it was just fun.
We've talked about that with the
Speaking of Saints Row, what's going to happen with the PSPlus, the one that's just?
I mean,
it's not going to be on PSPlus for long, is it?
Well, it's still up there for the month. I don't think they're going to, they must have signed that deal well before they decided to shut down the studio or something.
But the publisher is THQ. They're still around. So,
well, that is Embracer Group. Like, yeah, they're a big part of Embracer Group.
So they'll continue to. I'm sure that the game will stay alive. Just because the development studio shut down, the distributor's still around. Some fucker's still making money, Ed. I reckon they'll keep it up.
Yeah, someone's still getting their pockets lined. So,
what do we got next? E3. E3. Well, apparently it's going to skip 2024 and completely restructure, which it needs to do. It needs a hell of a revamp to come back and be like relative in terms of the other game presentation shows
I actually think it was the game studios that destroyed E3. It was
100%.
E3 is an expo originally my recollection, and it may be wrong, but my recollection was it was actually about presenting the video games for the gamers, and then it started getting categorized into here's your PS exclusives, here's your Xbox exclusives. And there's so many from Ubisoft, we may as well give them their segment. And then it became 5 different shows loosely tied together, and then all 5 studios just went, you want it? Fuck off, we'll do it when we're ready.
Yeah. Everyone, well, PlayStation were the first to pull out, and then Nintendo followed suit, and then one after the other, the others went, well, we don't want to be tied to this one anymore.
They probably, I don't know. It might also be like the whole FIFA thing. The EA video game didn't want to be, would have continued pumping out FIFA titles, but FIFA wanted to charge too much. So maybe E3 was just charging a fortune to add the logo to their,
quite possibly,
yeah,
their show.
But it did just become it's like any other game show. It's just like, well, I'll wait till the morning and wake up at a normal time and watch the trailer dump. Thank you. Yep, that'll be fun
for us, but it's different in America.
No. I mean, there was definitely something that's actually going to it, but how many of us get to go to those kind of things? But yes. So I definitely think hell of a revamp if you want to get general consumer interested in that one again. Compared when you got Game Show and Gamescom and those other ones. Which, speaking of, Gamescom just happened. We said that was coming up in our last recording. So I don't know if did you guys watch most of any of it? No?
I watched bits and pieces.
Yeah.
The one
there wasn't heaps.
There wasn't. No, I kind of had another look today, and there wasn't anything that new that jumped out to me.
I summarized it as there was a lot of it was focused on Starfield and its imminent launch. So Bethesda went hard on that, pushing that, and with Xbox behind them. I guess Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a base game major overhaul. I find that pretty interesting. From what I've read, that's actually people are very excited to go back in and give it another shot. Having not played, I played an hour of the demo. Kind of goes, oh well, shit, I might try that now. So that's in line with the upcoming DLC, the Phantom Liberty. So that's what else was there? There's another Lord of the Rings game coming, which is Return to Moria, set in the Fourth Age. It's a crafting survival kind of game, similar to that Deep Galactic one Dan played. You go in a mine and stuff. So it's the premise is that Gimli sends dwarves back to Moria in the Fourth Age, which is a longer topic for me to talk about because he would never do that, but that's fine. And then there's a couple of remasters. Star Wars Dark Forces, one of the Turok games, is getting a remaster. Good old Dinosaur Hunter. And then there were a bunch of gameplay videos, more walkthroughs. So Alan Wake 2 got a bit of interest. The RoboCop game we talked about a little while ago. Stalker 2. Lies of P, which Dan was interested to try, a Souls-like game, and then Black Myth Wukong, which we did a trailer trash for ages ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, and it's now come out that that's also really Soulsborne-y. Souls-like game, which is unfortunate for me. It's kind of, I thought it was a bit more action adventure, like not so much hack and slash, but more like God of War. And now finding out it's a bit more Souls, I'm like, well, damn it, that's going to be a lot of swearing and
frustration.
But it looks super cool, and it's based on the Chinese mythology, which is always kind of fascinating for me. And then, the other thing that was announced was a Fallout series with Prime Video and Bethesda.
Yeah.
I watched the shaky cam footage that leaked onto YouTube.
I haven't. I refuse to watch it because it's going to. I worry that it will affect my opinion of the project.
Yeah.
So I'll wait until it comes out. I'm sure it'll come out in the next 7 days or so because they can't sit on it now that it's been leaked.
No.
Yeah, they're going to act on it sooner rather than later.
So for anyone who's played a Fallout game, so this one's set in LA. It is for Vault 33. They've said it. They showed like one thing you can kind of see in the shaky cam footage was they had a ghoul in a cowboy hat having a shootout in a western town, and the ghoul looked just like out of the game. So like they've done that well. And I couldn't make much sense of the quote that was in the article where I found this, but it was talking about how Todd Howard was saying that he really loved.
Sorry, carry on. I said, "Fuck that guy." It's just a random outburst of aggression towards him. Sorry,
my patience with him is just thinning. But David, the more I see of him, the more I just want to
punch him in the nose.
Anyway, he said he worked with one of the guys from Interstellar on the making of this series. So I don't know if that adds any credibility to it, but look, the trailer
Interstellar was really good and quite realistic in terms of physics, right up until the point where it ended up being n-dimensional space and in his daughter's bedroom at the end. But apart from that, cool.
Yeah. So I'm sure that we'll wait and see the real trailer, and then we'll get right into it. Yeah. And then the SAG-AFTRA strike is still ongoing.
SAG-AFTRA strike. Yep.
Wow.
But it might be there, man.
I'm sure you're not the first one to make that connection, but it looks like now they're going to be starting to include video game capture and voice artists. So there's been some studios in negotiations with the guild, and the most likely to be affected by strikes are Activision, Blindlight, Disney character voices, Electronic Arts, Epic Games, Formosa Interactive, Insomniac, Take-Two, VoiceWorks Productions, and WB Games. So most of them.
I can see why it might be relevant for some studios with some styles of games. But by and large, I feel like it's kind of a Me Too. Well, I'm gonna be careful about how I word what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
It's a jumping on the bandwagon more than it is directly. And I don't know. Like, I need to do some research, really. But my uninformed opinion there is, like, how often are humans being digitized for video games in a studio that's going to then use that digital copy in like 5 more games? By the time they're producing the sequel, someone else buys the studio and rebadges them and changes them around anyway.
And by the time they do a sequel as well, there's that much of a jump in the storyline that the visuals and voicing's got to change significantly anyway.
All the mechanics of the game are so vastly different, you can't reuse the asset. I don't know. It's like if you digitally scan somebody for a movie, then you can put them in whatever clothing you like in the background as an extra in every movie ever, and never pay that fucker again, which is the whole point of the strike, or part of the point of the strike. But in a video game, unless you're using the Unreal Engine and you're scanning for Unreal, and fair enough, a lot of games do use the Unreal Engine, but how many of them use extras in the background? Like a percentage of a percentage, but...
Yeah, I just think of all the games I've played where every 5th enemy is the same dude. And it's just like, when they use that one character model.
Or a version of that.
That's the blonde one and there's the brunette one. There you go.
But this is that's more an argument for why they need to introduce that whole, because I think Dan usually, or size, but AI in video games has a place I give it a 10,000 assets, like one of those rotating, the old flip book wardrobe kind of style things, and you can have an unlimited number of permutations of heads and bodies and body shapes, and then clothing over the top. And now you can have completely random AI generated characters in real time, like procedurally generated. That's what AI can do, along with voice acting, synthesized voice through an AI engine so they don't repeat the same fucking line every time you walk past them in the street. Anyway.
I used to be an adventurer like you, and then I took an arrow to the knee.
Next.
All right, that's me done.
Next,
Ed's up.
I put in. Yeah, so I put in.
I'm used out.
Unreal Engine 5.3 came out last week, on Thursday the 7th. Caught a bit of an overview of what it entails, and after the past few months of kind of dabbling in Unreal Engine, it's pretty significant. So the couple of topics is that they've got nanite landscaping, which is like the poly count. Before, the kind of nanite was just on objects. So any kind of Unreal Engine 5 scene that you saw was built up using individual assets. Now the nanite kind of technology is for a landscape, so it's just pretty much like one plane. So it cuts down the number of assets needed to create a scene.
Right. Does it reduce the number of polygons as well?
No, it keeps the same amount of polygons. That's the whole thing of it. So it reduces the number of assets, keeps the polygons, so it improves detail and rendering, which is pretty big. So you're going to see games that are going to become a lot more detailed and everything like that, which is pretty cool. To go hand in hand with that, they've got tessellation. So with landscapes, you just have a plane and put a mesh on it, but the mesh couldn't really be manipulated. With tessellation, you can put like a stone path and then kind of increase the height of the stones and make it look all uneven and natural, which is pretty cool, which apparently was in Unreal Engine 4, but now been updated. Volumetrics, which is to do with fogs and everything like that. But interesting, which I thought was really cool, is with volumetrics, is that you can now move individual clouds around.
Oh, okay.
And they'll interact with other clouds?
Yeah, so before it was just like, I want fog in or I want clouding, and it would just automatically generate. That's what you got. But now you can actually manipulate the clouds in the sky, which is pretty cool. And also with that one there, it's like explosions and smoke and stuff like that. Before it was just pretty much like a 2D mesh. Now that's all 3D as well, so there's more details. They've also brought in so you can actually model characters now for rigging and everything like that. Before they had to bring in characters and meshes and everything like that from Blender and Maya and all the other stuff. So it's more one-stop shop, which is pretty cool. So, which is pretty exciting. Just means people don't have to import and export stuff.
And so I reached out to you when I was generating the new introduction for the Uplate videos. I don't know if you've seen our latest Uplate video to see the final sequence that I put together. But you said that you pretty much abandoned. So I built that in Blender. You said that you pretty much ditched Blender in favor of just learning Unreal.
Yeah. So I did Blender. What I was fun when I did my first my project last year in Blender, importing assets. Like third-party assets. Just they came out really funky type of thing, like for the rigging, and I thought for the sake with Unreal Engine, their actual marketplace to get meshes and stuff like that, there's a lot more available. I mean, for kind of one-off projects, Blend is really good. I mean, for a free bit of software, it's
Unreal's free as well, though.
Yeah, and Unreal Engine's free, but Unreal Engine you need like a higher spec rig, but
Blender I could probably put on my laptop and
so Blender runs really, really easy, and it is quite easy to use. But I just
right up until you render. each frame in that intro sequence was taking up to 7, 8, 9 minutes per frame. It's 24 frames a second, and there's 19 seconds of footage. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I wanted to try Unreal out, and I just found the interface a little bit more user friendly. But yeah, either like
it's an up late, man. Like, honestly, you can dedicate as much time as you wanted to that topic.
It's definitely for like if you've got a kind of a run of the mill kind of PC or laptop, want to get into it, and it's great. It's fantastic. I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, I just wanted to try Unreal Engine. I think that with UE5 and their kind of roadmap, what they want to achieve just was a bit more appealing for what's coming up. Like with stuff that's gone with 5.3 and the metahuman scanning and stuff like that. It's once I get a bit more time with life, it's something I'm going to lose a lot of hours to.
I'm waiting for them to come up with a real time caustics engine. It's one of the things that they still haven't figured out with 40 years of ray tracing technology. They still can't do caustics quickly. And for those playing at home, because I know Tom knows what caustics are. Caustics are the where you put a glass down on a table and light will play through the glass and create that focal circle of light on the table next to it. Mm-hmm. So like almost the magnifying glass effect when you didn't torture ants as a kid, you tortured just inanimate dead objects with a magnifying glass. The light on the ground from the magnifying glass is called caustics when you recreate them.
Yeah,
and they're horribly expensive to compute.
Yeah, so with UE5 they've got the lumens, which is your lighting, and there was an update to the lumens as well. The lighting kind of where you can actually before with the lumen lighting, you bake it into each scene.
Yep.
Just to take the load off your PC. But as soon as you moved an asset around, you could see the shadows.
It was no longer accurate. Yeah,
it was no longer accurate. But they've now kind of split it, so the light starts bouncing around a bit more, where you bake in your lighting, but then it takes away the actual I haven't seen too much more about it. It was just brief kind of overview. But I think they're working towards that, where the lighting's a bit more. Realistic
accurate
with
and
how it actually bounces around everything, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. I think we'll move on because you and I will get lost in this conversation quite easily. But 100%. I actually think it's probably a topic that we should talk a little bit more about at some other time. And for those at home, even if you've got zero interest in 3D applications, which like 99.9% of the population have zero interest, I would still encourage you, just every now and then, just type in Unreal Engine 5 or 5.3 or 5.4 into YouTube. And, Unreal frequently release videos of their latest features, and it's quite, it's quite breathtaking what they're doing with technology these days. But two, it also gives you an idea of what game developers have at their disposal as a toolkit to make games in the modern era and the direction it's going in, and some of the shit to get excited about. They're like video game trailers, but there's no game. It's really just the toolkit. And it's quite spectacular in a lot of cases. Anyway, sorry, you had one last piece that also now supports Mac and no one cared.
Yeah, it's like Mac and UI. It's like, it's like, that's it. I was actually almost funny. It was like, I better just put that down just in case there are any Mac users that actually.
Give me a time machine and a RISC processor, and I'll be excited. But apart from that,
But it's definitely worth it. Pete said it's definitely worth a watch because it gives you an appreciation of running around. And how it works, and
not just video games, and that's what I find quite amazing these days. Is so many movie companies or movie studios are using Unreal Engine 5.2 up to do movie stuff now, and are using proprietary utilities kind of similar to Unreal, but like to do all the space sequences in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, for example.
Yeah,
like this is where this software has come from. And it's all spawned. I mean, these software packages used to be dedicated to this sort of stuff for movie studios, Lightwave and Maya and 3D Studio Max. They were written for the cinema industry. And then you had a fucking video game company come along and say, "Oh, we need to build our own engine to make a game called Unreal." And then they are now the premier deluxe fucking software app, and it's still free for the cinema industry to use. It's quite amazing. Anyway, last piece of news. This one's a rumor, so it's not confirmed. Don't quote me on this, kids. But Florence Pugh is rumored to have been cast as Abby for The Last of Us Season 2.
Interesting.
And I
can see it. I can
see it, but it wouldn't have been who I would have picked.
No, but I can see it. I mean, Florence Pugh is a brilliant actor.
Oh, she's excellent, but
and I really think she could bring...
Is she muscular enough?
Oh, yeah, I definitely
She does have a like a wrestling style frame, and I don't want to. I don't need that to sound. I don't want that to sound at all negative, but she has the right build.
I'm sure if she could beat the shit out of me if she wanted to.
And on that, I think we'll just
not
move
like
the fuck
that,
on.
Peter. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Didn't even get a chance.
We could all do with a little bit of beating.
Oh dear, dearie me. Where's Dan? I'm calling him from Portugal.
That was a Monty Python and the Holy Grail skit right there. Yes, and then for the oral sex. Anyway, we should move on to second beers.
Yeah. I do have to grab mine.
Okay.
You go grab yours, and I'll start because I've poured and had a few sips of mine.
I'm going to turn the camera off.
Do you have to do a drop roll over the bed to get to the door or something?
No. I'll at least put my mic on mute.
There we go.
Mute.
Anyway, so the beer I'm having, yes, there's going to be some fine editing there. I am having the probably pretty hard to read in this light. Naughty. It's not the easiest font to read either.
Naughty Schwartz beer.
Naughty Schwartz beer. And we love a Naughty Schwartz. Midnight Lager. It is from Hargreaves Hill and a collaboration with Naut Distilling. And Hargreaves Hill are Victorian. So I'm assuming Naut Distilling are probably a close neighbour of theirs. So what they've done for this is they've produced a deliciously dark, lager.
Yeah.
Schwartz is that black lager. But they've said here that they aged it for a short stint in Naut's Sangiovese gin barrels. And I didn't read that, and I'm sure you could go back and look through the footage. I have my first sip and just go like, oh. And it's ginny. It's so ginny, like right at the start, that it like completely threw me, not knowing who, without reading the can and knowing what they were. So it's like super botanical right up front, and it's still got the standard, really malty, really roasty characteristics coming through. But I should probably check how old this can is. But I don't know that
age, is it?
Well, that gin flavor is just really taken over the whole thing when I was obviously looking forward to a nice, really malty, roasty lager.
So when you say it's got a gin flavor, are you talking just really floral, like the juniper?
Like botanical, like when you smell gin, you get that flavoring. It's kind of, that's the first thing that hits your tongue.
I don't know if I'd want that in a black beer.
It kind of works. It's just, it's a little bit too much too soon. Like, I don't know if it somehow, and I don't know how you would make this happen, make your flavors go in order that you want them to. I'm not Noah's Ark, like 2x2 fucking thing. But yeah, if that came through like second, so you got that lagery, black lagery hit up front, but then you got that ginniness second, like that'd be really nice. And then it's a pretty,
they'd have to mess with the balance because I mean,
so I don't know if it's just, it was when they say short stint, if it was too short a stint. So it's like
didn't have time to mellow.
But look, it's still good. It's still a very well crafted beer, and I think it's really interesting what they're doing. And I like the kind of, I don't think I've ever seen another Schwartz that's been aged in gin barrels. So I think that's really fucking cool. Yeah, they said it's slightly herbal. It's not slightly herbal.
And spicy hops.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay.
I mean, the color alone is worth 3.5 of those points. Deliciously black. Yeah. But that's me. Who's up next? Peter.
I'll go next to give you've had a chance to taste his beer properly. So I'm having Garage Project's Cereal Milk Stout, which is not a new beer.
So good though.
It is, but it's also like it's a milk stout. It's not. They're not doing anything spectacular. It doesn't blow your socks off. It's not trying to be more than it is. It's just it's nice and roasty and a little bit of chocolate, a little bit of coffee notes, but it's not overpowering either, which is why I like a milk stout. It's not as loud as like a Russian stout. It's uninspiring, I guess, but not terrible either. And it's on nitro, so it's pillowy smooth in terms of mouthfeel.
But is it a case of keep it simple, stupid, and do it well?
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm not knocking it. I know that probably sounded very negative, but I was, Garage Project, I guess my brain associates with experimental, out there, loud, obnoxious, at times overbalanced. And this is just a very reserved, finely made milk stout. And so I guess I'm kind of surprised and I don't know. I didn't get what I was expecting, but at the same time, that's not necessarily a bad thing, if that makes sense. It's fucking well-made milk stout. I'm going to give it a 4. Kind of on the fence, but I'll stick with a 4.
If you want one of their far out there, if you want that
far out there ones.
Yeah, if you want one of their far out stouts, one of their Gabs beers they canned, which is their coffee nitro stout, and it was my highlight of Gabs. And I saw it in a bottle shop today, and if I hadn't been going for an hour-long walk in the park with Jasper, I definitely would have grabbed it to bring home because it's fucking.
I'll have to keep an eye out. Yeah. I'm due for another order too. Something might work out.
Excellent.
Ed, what are you drinking, mate?
I'm drinking a Freestyle Brewing Magic Juice Nipa.
Magic Juice.
Yes.
Have a go at that can.
Man, they've gone down. They're from Bassendean in Perth, and the sticker looks like it comes right out of Bassendean skate park.
It probably did, man.
It probably did. So Freedom is Freestyle. Malt is pale oats wheat. Hops are Eldorado, Citra, and Mosaic. The yeast is East Coast Ale.
So nothing out of the ordinary there.
No. And I'm going to say, I generally don't kind of gravitate towards Neepers. Probably they're a beer that I don't drink too much of, and there's no particular reason other than I like to stick to my own little kind of hobbit hole when it comes to beers. But I have to say,
it's a lovely way to put that. I like that expression.
That's the colour.
It's like fucking orange juice.
And I tell you what, it is that I was
pretty good head retention as well. Look at that.
Yeah, and Pete actually used exactly how I was going to describe it. The mouthfeel is very pillowy, very smooth. It's 5.6%. I can tell you what, I could see myself. It's a 500ml can as well. Just don't let Dan have a look at the sticker. Yeah. Because it doesn't kind of line up. But it is. I'm digging it. I will go back and get more and start kind of going on the unexpected journey of Neepers. So I'm impressed. For someone who doesn't drink too many of them, I'm going to give that a 4.5.
Yeah, wow.
I'm really surprised. As I said, it's not a style of IPA that I go to. I generally go to the hazy pale ales, not so much imperial, but I thoroughly enjoy that.
Well, if they've nailed the pillowiness, that's a big thing that a lot of like Neepers miss, and that's when they just become a hazy IPA. The Neeper style really had that super soft mouthfeel.
Yeah, it's fantastic. 4.5.
Yeah.
Once I venture into a few more Neepers, I'm going to definitely go back and try it again because I think there's probably half a mark once I actually know what to look out for. But
yeah.
As a beginner to Neepers, that's two and a half, let's say 500ml can, I'm
Mhm.
easily going to drink it all. And if I had a second one, I would go back for a second one.
Nice.
That's spot on.
Yeah,
Done.
good. Yeah, good.
All right,
Let's get
well,
on
that's
to
beers.
some. Yeah, let's get on to some mini reviews. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many
we've
have you
only
got?
got a couple.
18?
No.
18?
They're quick mentions. Like I'm not actually going to review them because we're in the middle of seasons, and I think that's probably not appropriate.
Are these all half like mid-season reviews? Are they? Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'll kick off because I just watched the ending again. I decided last night to watch 65, which we trailer trashed a while ago. So Adam Driver crash lands on Earth and fights dinosaurs with a gun. There is nothing more to that film, and not in a bad way. It was a great little popcorn flick. It made me. Adam Driver has the biggest fucking hands I've ever seen.
He's a weird looking dude. Like I mean no disrespect, but he's a funky looking dude.
Something I noticed. Like he's absolute oven mitts of hands in this film, and look, it was fun. That the dinosaurs were cool. It kind of felt like a few scenes were very, very Jurassic Park, like straight cuts, like not even like a homage. It was just like you ripped that straight
line
from
for line copy.
You literally ripped that from the Lost World. There's like a
Dodson. We got Dodson here. Yeah, nobody cares.
No, it was even worse than that. It's literally like they're looking up through the glass and the T-Rex is biting it. I was like, come on.
is there like a hologram of like the DNA strand in the corner?
No, there wasn't Dino DNA. Unfortunately, that would have been great. Look, it was cool. The special effects were great. The story just like it's only an hour and a half long, so you can literally smash it out. But it's just it just became a little bit confusing towards the end. It's like, what do you want to be? Do you want to? It's trying to be slightly heartwarming, but then it's also like these dinosaurs. Yeah,
seems really out of place.
True.
I mean,
you wouldn't expect it, but there's this whole thing about family and like the adopted daughter kind of thing.
Just have a second, make the film as a popcorn film. Like
one of the best scenes was there's a moment where he dislocates his shoulder, and it's like as they're being attacked by dinosaurs and the franticness of that. That was probably the one scene where I was really like, oh shit, what's going to happen? But then it literally coincides, like it's a countdown. Like, because it coincides with the meteor that crashes to Earth to kill the dinosaurs. It's like perfectly set. Look, watch it, have a couple of beers, have a laugh, like enjoy
Smoke
dinosaurs. Yeah, enjoy dinosaurs getting attacked with a shotgun. He definitely at one point shot through one of the dinosaurs' ankles, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, well done."
Yeah,
it's exactly what you would do. Yeah.
Does it come across as a 420 film? Like design?
No. Okay. It's meant to be. I wouldn't say like high concept sci-fi, but it takes itself a little bit too seriously in parts.
Right.
Yeah, but then it adds this undercurrent of like quite touching family story, and it's just kind of like
seems out of place in a pop-out movie, man.
My one complaint is there wasn't enough guns on dinosaur violence.
That's why you're there for that type of movie, isn't it? You just want to see guns.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus aliens stuff.
Exactly.
Just balls to the wall.
Now that's a film. But look, it was enjoyable. Like, and I said I felt like due to outside circumstances, I fell asleep watching it last night. But I wanted to go back and finish it to see what happened. And look, that's actually the last bit. The last 20 minutes is the most goriest bit, and that's where he shoots the ankle out. So it's like, I'm glad I went back and watched that. Like, I would have been disappointed if I'd missed it. But it was on. I watched it on binge. If you're looking for it, hour and a half long. Well, like hour and 20 minutes when you don't factor in the credits. Definitely worth. You got nothing else on, and you just want to put something on. Like, you can even you could easily sit there and doom scroll while watching it, and like go, interesting bit. Okay, he's talking now. Okay.
Nice.
I think it would benefit if they'd gone down the Prey route. Yeah. It needed to be a bit more
slower burn.
a bit of a slower burn. They rush some things, but yeah. Anyway, so that's 65. Give it a shot. Let me know what you think, or don't.
Cool.
I don't know. To sort your own life out.
Shall do.
Do what
Roger
makes you
Wilco.
happy.
Yeah, no, I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do.
Fucking random.
Pete, do you want to jump in here, or do you want me to keep going?
Keep going, man.
Okay. The next two ones have been already reviewed by Dan, but he's not here, so fuck him.
So fuck him.
But I did go back and watch his reviews today through our YouTube channel. You should like and subscribe. So they're in episode 5 and episode 7 for those playing at home. So the first one I'm talking about is Carnival Row, season 2. Dan talked at length about the Lovecraftian aspects of that and changes to the pacing of the story and how the first part of it's a bit like hurry up and get over this thing to move on to the next thing. I 100% agree with him. The thing he also touched on was when he did a kind of a recap of the series was that it's the English versus the Russians. The Russians are the Pact, who you spend a lot of time with in this season. And I found it, and it's a full spoiler, I guess. There's like a subsect called the New Dawn, which comes up, and it's just communism. It's plain and simple communism, even with really bad Russian accents. And
there's no such thing as bad accent.
It's 100% that. It's 100% that. And they just call everyone comrade. And,
hello, comrade. Do you have some Stolishnia?
Yeah. Oh, like.
I love terrible Russian accents. They're the best.
It just felt like a bit too lazy writing. Like,
right.
It was, and then it's, the communists try and infiltrate English society. It's like, oh, there's a red under every bed kind of like thing. Yeah. So,
okay.
But he's 100% right in the monster creation for this one is like the first season, the big monster that you like Orlando Bloom's trying to fight is very squiddy Lovecraftian. This one's flesh and bone and like very straught. It's like almost like a weird vampire-like creature. It's very cool, very well done. I really love the design of that creature. Cara Delevingne and Orlando Bloom are great. Again, the guy who I probably should have written down his name, but he is like the Mr. Millworthy is his character's name in the show. He's like the political advisor for the politicians in this. He stands out, and he's not a well-known guy. Like I looked up his IMDb page to see what he'd been in, and like the only thing that I didn't even recognize him in it was he was the one of the house elves in Harry Potter. He was Creature. What
was his name?
I will have to find it for you. As
no. What's his character's name? Sorry.
Oh, in the show, Mr. Millworthy.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Simon McBurney.
That was it. Yeah, he's outstanding, and like for someone who's not as big as some of the like, there were definite scenes where he stole the show.
Yeah, right.
That said, though, as we got through, like it's 10 episodes, hour-long episodes, as Dan said, but you knew when he was going to do which face. He ran out of faces to use, like for some of his like, ooh, we're going to do this face, and then like, ooh, we're going to do this face. But yeah, the character, the costume design, the character creation is amazing. There's it's really, really cool. And cool. Yes, to answer my own question, I asked Dan in that episode, because I did go back and watch them. I asked if when Orlando Bloom fought the troll, if there was a chain. There isn't. So there was no Lord of the Rings throwback to that. But yeah, really, really good. Definitely worth a watch. Emma and I smashed through it in like a week.
There's almost no chance that he didn't make it at least a joke to other people on set at the time. Don't worry, guys. I've fought trolls before.
Oh, 100%.
There's gotta have been a reference.
Yeah. So yeah, see, that's season 2, and as Dan said in his review, that is the final season. They're not renewing it for a 3, so it was a nice rounded out story. You got to the end of everyone's arc, kind of thing. So that was good. And then Banshees of Inesherin. Dan talked about this in our in-person episode.
Spoiler free, please.
Yes. Just watch it. It's beautiful. It is a loving ode to the Irish landscape some of the most beautiful shots you'll see, even when it's, you can tell how fucking miserable the weather is there and it's raining sideways and it's like, but yeah, I really agree with Dan in terms of the you laugh up until the point where you go, oh fuck, I shouldn't. It's funny until it's not.
Yeah.
What streaming service is that on again? Because I remember Dan talking about it.
That was on Prime.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was so hoping you pirated it so you could come up with something to respond there. Like, what streaming service is it on? My heart is.
Just in Long John Silver's cave. Yeah. No, it's. I don't want to spoil it at all. It's a very slow burn, but a beautiful slow burn.
But as Dan described it, it was a movie about interpersonal conflict and social hardwiring in the human race. Like I assume it's quite existential in that respect.
You could probably read that much into it, but it's also very plain and simple. Like it's like the whole premise is that one of the blokes doesn't like the other bloke anymore just because he finds him dull. That's the whole thing. He's like, you're boring me. I don't want to hang out with you anymore. I don't want to go down the pub and sink pints with you anymore. We've done that for years, But then it just like, I think Dan said about halfway. I think it's more like 2/3 the way through, and then it just switches to like, holy shit, that got dark real quick.
Yeah, true.
The one thing Dan didn't talk about, which I would love to make a point about, and you'll notice it. It's glaringly obviously in it, but I don't know why he didn't mention it. It was I really, really enjoyed the lack of music. There was a lot of
negative space in the audio sphere.
Atmospheric silence. Yeah.
That kind of like negative space can be done either really well or it can be done really badly.
This is done beautifully well.
So like it's good to hear. Like I'll definitely have to go back and watch because when it's done really well, it just
it's poignant.
Yeah, yes, it can really.
But like a classic example of it in this film is, there's a scene in the pub. They're talking. It's obviously we almost had to put subtitles on because of the thick Irish accents they use, and they use a lot of Irish words in that. But in one of the scenes when they're talking in the pub, and it basically rolls around the pub in terms of it is quite play-like in the way it's shot. It's kind of like a one set kind of thing. But that said, then they go and there's beautiful shots of the landscape. But it's so subtle yet so loud in when two of the characters are talking back and forth, and it's like you can kind of hear like the wind howling in the background, and then someone opens the door and suddenly it's whoosh, and it's like the wind volume just goes straight up, and that really sold the film for me. Like it's just like for one other, I was just like and then I started paying more attention to those atmospheric silences, and it just really added to the whole thing for me. And the ending's it's like beautifully sad, but it's just a really, really well done film, and it's the director and then Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell's. It's their first time reuniting since In Bruges.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they all go back together.
That's a fucking spectacular
which is a
movie
fantastic
too.
film. Yeah, so that's
not what I expected when I sat down to watch that film.
No.
I was at my parents' house and like, oh, we're going to put this on, and it's called In Bruges, and then it ends up just being this fucking crazy ass violent action film out of nowhere.
Yeah.
When Colin Farrell's good, he's fucking good.
Yeah.
It's like what is it? Phone Booth.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. And I can't remember the next movie that he did was just shite.
He was probably Bullseye in
Bullseye in Daredevil.
Yeah, something like that. But I'll have to go back and watch them because it's
Well, it's just this is a perfect example of a film where you can tell these guys are properly trained, like they're properly trained actors, and they have a stage presence, and this could easily have been a stage play that you would go and sit and watch. Yeah. So, 100% check it out. I know you've written it down on the list and you've probably forgotten about it because that's what you said last time, Pete. But
no. It's on my list. It's very much written down.
But you have to be in the mood for something slow.
A thinker.
Yes.
Cool.
But and if we're going to give scores to that, it's a 5 out of 5. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Loved it. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's me.
I've got some quick honorable mentions, and by honorable mentions, I mean I don't think it's fair to properly review these shows. Just to throw them out there that they're in progress, and going from the bad communism of Carnival Row season 2 to the good communism of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds season 2. I'm about halfway through season 2, and I got to say, it's as good as any Star Trek series ever has been. It feels very at home. They've settled into a lull. The actors' interaction with each other is really good. It's well acted. You're cozy and comfortable with the Captain Pike now, and there's still enough references to the rest of what you know is going to happen in the Enterprise because it's set as a prequel to the original series, essentially.
Right.
So Kirk is a lieutenant who doesn't have his own captaincy yet. He's on another ship doing some shit. And Kirk's brother is on the Enterprise. And Pike is the captain, which was established in the lore, in the original series. That Captain Pike was the captain.
It was in the remake film, yeah. Pike was the one who... Yep.
And it's just... So there's a lot of continuity there. But the acting is excellent. The stories are really interesting. Good character building. Yeah, really enjoying that. Wheel of Time, I panned this when it. I don't know if have you been watching it, season 2, Ed?
No, I have to go back and watch season 1.
I probably don't. Okay. Just do a recap.
Just do a recap.
Just do a YouTube recap.
I gotta say, no, I actually think I think it will be rewarding to watch season 1 first.
I want to go back and watch because it's there. I've got to fucking watch it first because otherwise, if I go straight into season 2, it's like Carnival Row. Like I started watching Carnival Row a while back, but life got in the way, and so I always want to go back to it. But
just bear down and watch this first season.
If there's a season 1, it's got to be watched. You don't go off and watch Empire Strikes Back without watching A New Hope.
That just doesn't. Yeah, but
regardless of how bad it happens.
So we're only 4 episodes into Wheel of Time season 2, and I've got to say,
is it weekly dropping?
Yes, every Friday. Same time as Foundation, 2 shows that you won't watch, Tom. I got to say, I'm impressed by the turnaround. Wheel of Time season 2, first of all, and I think I said this at the time that we've finished talking about season 1 because it was the same time of Rings of Power season 1.
Yep.
The costuming and set dressing in Wheel of Time season 2 shits all over Rings of Power. Shits all over it. Like, there's been quite a few times where I've kind of stepped away from the storyline for a second and just really appreciated how intricate and traditionally built the garments are.
Yeah.
And then the set dressing of the White Tower, like it's called the Ivory Tower or the White Tower of Amerlin kind of interchangeably in the books, but it's actually not pure white. It's made to look like ivory. And it's got this beautiful marbling effect in the background and the way the light shines through when it goes from being a white from the outside to when light's coming through, it's quite a dark, deep brown marble. And it's just some of the effects are brilliant. The acting, they've settled into a rhythm and there's a lot of chemistry between characters. The way that they've combined books 2 and 3 into one story instead of, because in the novel series, book 2 and book 3 is basically the exact same thing told twice.
Right.
They're different stories. It's not like told this. They're not. He never intended to tell the same story from 2 angles. He basically just repeated himself.
Did he have a stroke while he was writing it or something?
Yeah. And there were some subtle differences, but at the same time, they're trudging across the landscape towards the MacGuffin, and they almost reach the MacGuffin. And then in the next book, they trudge across the landscape chasing the other MacGuffin. They've kind of matched.
They're on fetch quests. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They exactly are. The Horn of Valere is the MacGuffin, the fetch quest thereafter. But they've quite craftily combined the two books into one story, and now you have, because there was always a big cast in the books. You have Randall Thor, you've got Perrin and Tom, the 3 mates from the 2 rivers. Then you have the 2 girls, Egwene and Nynaeve. So you're at fucking 5. And then you've got Moraine with Lan, and they're a kind of 1-2 piece, but they also split up quite a lot. So you've got 7 main characters, and they're equally important. You can't have the books without any one of them. And at points, all 7 characters have their own storylines. They follow in parallel. And the TV series is doing a brilliant job so far of following 7 storylines. Actually, they're following 6.
I did get up to
the 8th.
I did get up to episode 5 of the first season.
Yeah,
out of the 8th. So maybe I should just go back and finish it.
Yeah, I would recommend you do, because look, I
have seen a lot of comments saying how much better season 2 is.
I'm happy that it is as good as it is, because number 1 was just such a bitter disappointment. I'm not saying this won't. I'm not saying this isn't going to fall on its face after 3 seasons and just not wrap the story well, but it's settled into a rhythm, which I think is cool. Foundation season 2, we're about halfway through that as well. I think we're 5 or 6 eps in. I'm still thoroughly enjoying it. The storyline's quite different from the season 1. They're still talking about math, Tom, in terms of predicting the future.
Oh, boring!
But it is also, it's getting really interesting in terms of the artificial intelligence and some of the commentary on modern society. And, essentially his psychohistory algorithm is almost artificially intelligent in the sense that it can see into the future using extrapolating the past. Yeah, and then he hands it to the last robot. Like there is one AI robot in existence in the galaxy that they know of.
Yep.
All the rest were destroyed in the cyborg wars. And for whatever reason, a previous emperor kept one alive. And you know that from the very beginning. And so when he hands the algorithm over to her, it's like from one artificial intelligence to another. It's quite a cool nod. And yet the story has gotten simpler, and yet it's still on a really big grand stage. It's no longer time hopping. Season 1 time hops. And it's cool in the sense that you've got 3 emperors, Dawn, Day, and Dusk, who are in 3 life stages but are clones of each other and have the same memories and the same consciousness and the same thought patterns and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And so they could time hop while maintaining continuity of actors, which I think is awesome. It was a very cool mechanic.
It's a very clever way to shoot, 100%.
Yeah. And then the other characters that aren't clones of each other, in order for them to still be relevant to the storyline, they go into hypersleep for various reasons. So, yeah, it's quite cool. Season 2, all that settled down, kind of like Witcher Season 2. You're just in one timeline now, and it's just telling a really interesting interstellar war story, and it's very cool. And the last thing is Invasion Season 2, which I've only watched the first 2 episodes of. I'm going to eat my words, actually. I didn't say great things about Season 1. I got to say, going back to it, even watching the first episode of Season 2, the love story did take too much focus away, in my opinion, in Season 1.
Yep, I remember saying that, yeah.
But watching Season 2, Episode 1, I kind of remembered how intricate and establishing in terms of the world has ended essentially for most people, and so as a post-apocalyptic ambiance in the background, they've done quite a good job of creating that dystopian world. Like the world building has been impressive, and I never really appreciated it when I first watched it. I was probably doom scrolling while watching some of these eps, I guess. So I almost want to go back and rewatch Season 1 before I continue with Season 2. I've seen, I think, 2 episodes.
Yeah, okay.
Keep it on your list, is my opinion. Do we want to finish with Ahsoka or just skip Ahsoka and do it properly at the end?
I mean, we can do a mid-season review now. We're at the mid-season break.
We are.
Yeah.
Cool.
Go on, Peters. Go say your thing. I never responded to it. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance.
Oh, yeah. I gave you a little bit of a rant in our group chat. I've not been impressed. It's not that it's bad. There's nothing patently wrong with Ahsoka. I'm assuming,
Ed, you're caught up as well.
Yeah, I'm caught up. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Sweet. Just before we go straight into it.
I've just not been all that impressed by it. There's some cool nods to lore, but at the same time, I found, and this was my rant, there's some really broken bits when it comes to lore. Like, we know these characters. These aren't peripheral to previous storylines. They're central to previous storylines.
Yeah.
And so when you have Sabine, when Ahsoka, first and foremost, she's not Force sensitive, but she's being trained as a Jedi. The fuck? Like, and you're just waiting for her moment at the end of the first season where she's suddenly going to have force powers.
Yeah,
you just know it's happening, right?
But I still find it's.
I didn't mind. I didn't mind the Doctor's description of her force ability. Saying
you can't call him the Doctor.
I'm glad he said the Doctor because when I found that out, he was a voice actor. I was like, "Fuck yeah, that is like." And
he was the voice actor in the Rebels version of that character too.
Yeah, true. He's
always been young. Yeah,
David for those. He does a great job. Great job.
He does. But the thing that really bothered me was Ahsoka throws the blast helmet to her. And she's like, well, how am I going to train with the blast helmet on? I'm not going to be able to see. And it just infuriated me instantly. This is a character who literally watched the entire training program from start to finish of a Jedi. She stood next to this kid while he had a blast mask on and he was being trained in the ways of the Jedi. And then for her to just not know why she would be thrown a blast mask in this, it really fucking pissed me off. I'm sorry, but if you're going to use a well-known character, then she has to come with all the memories that we've already established in all the other shit. It just really
not all the memories. Not all the memories. I did go back and reread your message because I definitely agreed with 90% of it. I thought it was pretty lazy writing to throw the blast helmet and not be like, everyone knows what this is doing. Like,
well, she knows what. It's not just everyone. It's like as watchers, yes, no, she knows.
But it just raised. It's kind of a separate point, but it raised something for me that I've not really seen from us, but heard from before from other people. I always find it really kind of it takes me out of the world when we expect characters to have like almost photographic memories of their entire life. In terms of there are so many ways, like we forget shit all the time. And so I actually find it more realistic of a character when it's like, we know they should remember something because we're watching them from the outside, but they don't remember it in character. I think it makes it more believable.
I think I understand where you're coming from. I think you might be being too forgiving in that particular example.
I'm not talking about that particular example, but it triggered a point to remind me of. Yeah,
that's fair.
When we're talking about the blast helmet, I 100% agree with you. I didn't write back to you because I was very exhausted at the time.
Yeah, but which is completely fair. It just really broke continuity for me. It's like there was no reason to use Sabine. Let's be clear. There's no reason the Ahsoka series needed to have a sidekick that we already saw out of Rebels.
Except for the fact that Filoni came out and said it's basically Rebels season
5.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to make an Ahsoka series that was Rebels season 5. When we saw Ahsoka in Mandalorian, could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They could have told a completely unique story with the unique characters as sidekicks, but instead they chose to focus on Sabine Wren and Hera and Ezra and all of that sort of stuff so that they could use it as a plot device to bring back.
I mean, they should have just made Rebels season 5, but just made it live action. They should have kind of gone that route.
Yeah, I think I put in the chat that after the second episode, it makes me want to go and watch Rebels because I've never had the chance to go back and watch it because and it still feels like that. It feels like a continuation. Like I'm enjoying the series, but there's I don't know. I feel for someone that doesn't know the lore as much as you guys do. It doesn't have a unique feel to it. You kind of.
It is. I would, if I were you, and if you've got the time and the patience, I actually would genuinely recommend you go back and watch Rebels.
And it's definitely on the list to do.
You'll know in the first 2 or 3 episodes if you connect with it or you hate it. Most people prefer Clone Wars. I preferred Rebels. I connected with Rebels instantly. I found it was a new and interesting story that I hadn't seen before. New characters, not connected to any previous characters, although they do mix in other characters. Now, the reason why Ahsoka is built around Rebels is they needed an excuse to bring Thrawn in, and Rebels ends in a storyline around Thrawn.
And that's what I get. I get it.
It's timeline driven.
Yeah, I get a feeling that it's timeline driven. What I was expecting out of Ahsoka was her kind of when she was briefly in Mando, is that kind of period of time when she's roaming out by herself.
Yeah,
whatever she was doing.
The lone adventurer kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was
adventure,
expecting. But in saying that, to have Sabine and have the master and apprentice, the Padawan type of storyline I find it enjoyable because it goes back to a traditional kind of Star Wars kind of beats that we know. But yeah, it just kind of, I don't know.
Did either of you play through the story missions in Battlefront 2?
No.
I
did
don't
you play
recall.
Star Wars Battlefront 2? You don't remember?
I genuinely don't remember.
The opening of Ahsoka Episode 1 took me straight back to one of the missions where you play as Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi, and you are hunting for secrets of the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular thing, he's found one of Palpatine's stashes, a bunker stash, and he's going through it because he needs a particular compass. And it's all part of him trying to rebuild Jedi temples and stuff, which we've seen in Mando, which has been, I mean, if you go back to any of the expanded universe legends, it's not legends, it's the real canon. Fuck you, Disney. That's all. That's one of his big focuses, is rebuilding the Jedi Order, starting his temple on Yavin 4, having the time of his life. The opening of that episode when Ahsoka's trying to find the map made me hardcore yearn for a Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi hunting, cross between Indiana Jones hunting for secrets of the Force on old planets. That opening sequence was fantastic. I liked the pacing of it. I've said I really liked the soundtrack as well. I think it's been fantastic all the way
soundtrack's
through.
Fantastic.
But yeah, that really made me go, oh shit! And it's something I guarantee it's something that Filoni would love to do a Secrets of the Force, really delve into the mystical side.
Yeah, that'd be a great kind of series to watch.
But especially focused on Luke, and then Sebastian Stan could just waltz on in, on the blonde mop.
I gotta say, look, seeing some of the stuff I've been watching in the Rebels cartoons come to life was cool in live action. I recognized the environments they were in.
Yep.
On Lothar, and that was cool. But I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. It's just been one of those things. I'll watch it in the week when I get some time, but I don't race to watch it as soon on launch day. I'm just not that excited for it.
I'm the opposite, but
fair. And the other thing is, I
cried in the last episode. I'm not afraid to admit it. When in the last scene, no spoiler free.
Exactly
I fucking. Emma turned and looked at me because I had my headphones on watching it. And she's like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "This is so fucking special to me."
There was another appearance scene, another character that turned up that I was like, "Yes!" Like a returning character, like, "Yes, come on, get in." I was like, yeah, I was proud of that, and that's what I'm liking about. There's certainly parts of which keeps me coming back and enjoying. But yeah, it's definitely a.
I'm not at all going to mention it, but I just wanted to close by saying I also have noticed the continuation of Disney pushing a specific agenda. I just won't talk about what that agenda is because it'll get political quickly, but to me, it has been noticeable in Ahsoka as well.
Well, that's mysterious and in no way
we've talked about it before as well.
I also have to say that I really dig the outfits that they've chosen for the let's just say Dark Jedi. They're really Old Republic armor.
It's
that was straight out of some of those Old Republic CGI trailers.
It's such a shame he passed away. The actor.
I watched that. He's
what a fantastic way to go.
Style. It's so
like the
robotic, but so cool at the same time.
The kind of saber fights that. Have been spot on.
It reminds me of Vader. His fighting style reminds me of Vader because he's such a tall, powerful dude.
And that's one of the vibes I get from the original kind of trilogies. You get
there's no finesse. There's no dancing.
There's no dancing. It's just
that's the perfect of Anakin change into Vader. He had to go from he was a twirler. He was like Geralt, like how Geralt's meant to fight, where he dances around his opponents. To he's been like, I'm so mechanical, I have to be just power strikes
Yep.
And that was Balin's
Yeah.
goal. And like, yeah.
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 And I think that's that for me. That's what I'm really enjoying about it is there's these whole little kind of nods to a lot of
The
things.
clash
And,
of styles to
yeah,
go
the
from
clash of styles and
from
yeah,
Asian martial arts sword fighting to like battle sword, like medieval
Power strikes. Yeah.
yeah.
Also, can we talk about Star Wars Spitfire ships that have now appeared? Those Morgan Elsbeth's fighter jets.
Yeah,
They're Spitfires.
Yeah.
They're fucking cool. I want one badly.
They are. I want Lego to release.
They have
Ahsoka's. No, but it's a shitty. I've. It's on its way to me, but it's one of those smaller models, like 650 pieces.
Right.
Yeah, I looked to get it because when I left my last job, I've got $100 Lego
voucher
gift card,
Yeah.
and I'm struggling. Like you guys know that I love my Star Wars Lego, but the current Star Wars Lego after like the Justifier and the Mando stuff,
it's aimed at a younger audience.
But there is the Imperial. They've just released a new, or about to release a new Ultimate Collector's ship, which looks freaking cool. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay.
But it is. I'll send it in chat. But it's
what shuttle Tidarium or
no.
Star Destroyers.
While you look that up, I think we might take a break because we're due for a break as well.
Yeah, I need new beers.
Good.
Yes, ditto. All right, we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
We have no sponsors. None at all. They hate us.
If you want to sponsor us,
Hey, hey.
Well, fuck-a-doodle-doo.
And on that note, welcome back.
Let's crack some cans.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we're back. Yes, let's crack some cans. Has anyone tried their beer? Is anyone organised? Or are we all just winging this shit?
I've poured it.
Well, have a bloody taste of it while I pour this delightfully golden, beautiful-looking, foamy-headed piece of amazingness.
Okay.
So who's going first?
I think Ed was. You gave him a
Eduardo.
10-minute talk-in.
Yeah. Fuck, I gave you enough time. Jesus.
Jesus Christ. All right. I am trying for my third beer. Finally managed to get a new East Coast beer on the West Coast, and I've gone for a Hawker's Fashionably Punctual. So it's the West Coast.
Many comments I could say about some people I've met who worked at Hawker's over the time.
Yeah.
They are fashionably punchable.
That's I actually just reread the label correctly after buying this yesterday. I thought it was fashionably punchable, and I thought that's an interesting name for beer. But it's fashionably.
Well, you're right on time.
Punctual. So it's a West Coast IPA late harvest, 6.5% ABV. Nelson dry hopped.
I can add something to that if you would like there, Ed. It's part one of two. It's a dual release.
Yes, and I did see the other can there, and I should have picked one up. Have two from two. But building on the notion that hops are significantly impacted by terroir, Fashionably Punctual is an experiment in the influence that the grower has on the hops. While climate, soil, and latitude play an important role, the influence doesn't stop with the land. This installment in our experimental series compares the harvest date of the same hop varieties from the same farm, working with the Freestyle hops of New Zealand. We're using the same base beer to contrast early versus late harvest Nelson hops. Again, this is I haven't delved too much into West Coast IPAs, and I'm enjoying it.
Oh, and that's a good start.
It is.
Yeah. It's it's a lot sharper than the Neighbour I've just had. But in saying that, I'm liking the sharpness. It's like a very, very clean tasting.
Yeah.
And again, I could see, like, after a couple of mouthfuls, I should have picked up the other can.
Well, that's a tomorrow problem. You have to go.
Yeah,
back and get
that is it tomorrow, and
Yeah.
I know they've got some in stock, so I will go back there during the week. It's lucky enough the new bottle shop that I got these from that I have found had both of them.
Yeah, lovely.
And I'm enjoying it. I am definitely enjoying it. I am going to give that. I'm going to give that a 4.25, and the consistency. Dan will be happy with how this label has been lined up.
Excellent.
He will be happy compared to the other label. It's not quite 100%, but it's a lot better. Yeah, I am enjoying it. That's a nice West Coast IPA.
Very good. Oh, Peter, you're on mute.
Well, fuck. Pantomime. Do you want to go next, or you want me to, mate?
No, go next.
Okay.
I need to go get another glass.
Okay.
Not because my beer's bad. Let me just say that. I've got, I have the two-part series I'm trying side by side.
Right.
I've had the first sip of the first one, and now I need to try the second one while I'm having it. So I might even just skip this round and do both in beer 4.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I will be back.
All right. Un momento, por favor. So I am also having a Hawker's beer, which Tom's unfortunately not going to be here to hear me just rag on him. It's not his fault. It's just the company that he works for. So this is Hawker's Trio of Dips, United States. So basically, this is an experimental series of dry hopped West Coast IPAs, which I am very partial to. I do love a good West Coast. It's a 6.5% beer. And what they've done is they've made 3 beers in exactly the same way from the same brewery, is my understanding, using the same hops, but the hops were grown. So it's Cascade, which is a classic West Coast hop. But they've grown the Cascade hops in 3 different countries, in Australia, New Zealand, and America. And so, which is why the beer is called the Trio of Dips. Now, I ordered this online. I ordered 2 of the 3 because there was only 2 of the 3 available to purchase online. And instead of sending me the 2 countries, which was the US and Australia, they sent me 2 copies of the US beer. Sorry?
Australia, New Zealand, and UK were the 3 available ones.
There's only 3 of them total, and this has got the US. So where does the UK factor in?
Yeah, there's the other 2. No, there's no Australian one. The other 2 are New Zealand and UK.
Right, got it. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Right. So, I ordered 2 of the 3. I got 2 copies of the same fucking beer, and then very, very nicely, Tom has put the other 2 aside for me. But I don't have any other beers to try.
Yeah, I fucked up. All right, fucked up. Hey, you want to have a go about it?
It wasn't even Tom's fuck up. It was someone else. But this as a West Coast by itself, and so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get to compare them side by side as designed, right? The idea is you have all 3 beers. They're all made exactly the same way, same rough ABV, same hops, same everything, except the hops are grown in different countries. So the experiment is, do they taste different? And I don't know. I'll never know, unfortunately. But as a West Coast, standalone West Coast...
Didn't you keep one of the other ones?
No.
Oh. Well, I mean, you knew the other 2 were coming. So.
I know, but I don't have any other beers. I've got a Japanese quad in the fridge, and that's it. And I don't want to get completely obliterated at the end of this episode on a school night. I got to work in the morning. Monday's rough enough. Anyway, this is a great West Coast. It's pithy, lots of orange pith, almost a grapefruit juice flavor to it. It's got a nice solid bitterness. Yeah. I'm enjoying it. It's not a groundbreaking West Coast, but then you don't want your West Coast to break any ground. You just want it to be good. And this one is...
In comparison, that's the...
Yours is so much darker.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's a different colour altogether type of thing.
Maybe it's the sunlight in WA. You are closer to the surface of the sun. I'm going to give that a 4.5. That's fucking brilliant. Tom, what are you drinking, mate?
I'll tell you what I'm drinking, but I'm going to review them both later.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I will show you exactly what I'm drinking. I think the artwork is quite delightful. It is a dual collab from Mountain Culture and Bolter. It is brand new. It literally only hit shelves Thursday, so it's fucking fresh. These are the two. There's Anna and Elsa. For those who have children, you might recognize those names from the hit Disney movie Frozen, and there is a very good reason for that. These beers, there's another one from Deeds, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're the first 3 beers to utilize a new hop preservation technique. These are frozen US hop harvest hops. So when the guys
snap frozen,
essentially, yeah. So when the guys from Mountain Culture and Bolter went over to the Yakima Chief hop harvest in the US, they selected these hops and they were frozen fresh off the vine. And then they shipped an entire frozen shipping container of these hops to Australia, and then have gone together. They went and brewed at Mountain Culture, I believe, and brewed these 2 beers side by side. So Anna is a West Coast, and then Elsa is a New England IPA. So the 2 kind of opposite ends of the spectrum of the IPA for these ones, from 2 brilliant IPA makers. They both showcase Citra, Mosaic, and Simcoe, but it's literally just a different style. So exactly the same recipe up until the point where they changed the style from going West Coast
to East Coast.
Yep.
New England.
But yeah, everything else is the same. So I'm going to sit on these, sip them side by side, and I will come back at Beer 4 and review them both.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool.
All
It's pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah.
For them to have picked hops in the US, which is back in April, is like the hop harvest. And then they've been frozen and then used to brew to release in September. Shit.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's kick off with some trailer trash.
Let's go.
Do it.
And first up is one from Ed, actually.
Yeah, Castlevania Nocturne, which is the latest cartoon series on Netflix, which gets released on I think the 28th of this month.
Okay.
End of the month. So it follows every kind of Castlevania TV Netflix series and
same animation style,
game, same animation style,
almost same voice actors they used, I think.
Yeah, but it follows a different
Belmont.
So this is Richter, who apparently is the last Belmont, and it looks the business. It I've got to go back. I've just re-signed up for Netflix. Play catch up and going through knowing this is coming to go back and watch the first couple of episodes again, seasons again, because it looks like your proper kind of adult cartoon, full of swearing, ultra violent, kind of like
hyper violent.
There was even some
the other ones. Yeah,
there was even some Aeon Flux kind of moments in there that in the in terms of the drawing style in the trailer. Now I haven't watched any Castlevania. It's on my backlog of things to watch.
Yeah, I've only watched good. Yeah, I've watched the first season and really enjoyed it. Yeah, again, life got in the way, and I've missed. I think there's season 2 and maybe a 3rd season. But yeah, it's well worth the watch. They're kind of like the typical half-hour episodes, and just again, growing up playing Castlevania games as a kid. It's fantastic. It looks super cool. And again, the first manga that I ever watched as an 8-year-old is my brother showed me Akira. So I am very partial to the ultra violent, which is weird. The ultra violent cartoons. It's just
it's got its place.
It's got its place, but make me watch a Saw movie. I can't do it, but ultra violent Castlevania Hit Monkey Akira style cartoon I watch every day of the week. Type thing. But it's looking forward to it. Looks good.
Yeah, if you haven't checked out those original Castlevania Netflix, I've watched them. Haven't finished the entire series, but I'm also keen to go back and rewatch them all because it's that good, and it really it's very, very well voice acted, and if you can put up with blood and guts flying everywhere and sword flashes and obscenely long swords in some scenes, it's just that's ridiculous. But it's fun. Yeah,
it is. Yeah. I mean, look, that is very manga, right? I've read novels that are very similar with it. They carry around an 8 or a 9 foot sword, and you just it's just so impractically stupid. To be honest, it was written by a Western writer. It was Will White before he wrote the series that I've raved about.
Yeah.
He wrote the Traveler's Gate series, and one of the things, it was an otherwise brilliant series of books, but one of the things that really broke it is this guy carries around an 8 or 9 foot sword. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. That's just fucking stupid.
Final Fantasy laughing somewhere in the background.
Exactly.
It
It just breaks me out of immersion.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, just lastly on that Castlevania, if you like Castlevania, I've said it a number of times, is watch Hitmonkey because they are doing another season.
I do have to watch Hitmonkey. I haven't got into it.
It's again because Hitmonkey is Marvel as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, because they have confirmed season 2, which I know Dan's super excited about as well. It's well worth a watch. Again, it's same style and kind of you get the Archer feel for it. But yeah, highly recommend that as well if Castlevania's jam and you're into that. They're definitely and they're all, I think they're from memory. They're like 27 minutes or 24, so they're kind of. You watch over dinner. Next
time fillers,
and then next minute you kind of 3 or 4.
Or if you just you're sitting at home with the laptop in bed and you can just watch 3 or 4 episodes and be like,
and that's it. That's the good thing about it is them is even though they're short in length, you can kind of they're addictive. So you do 3 or 4 episodes.
You can easily build them into a session. Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Next,
Weird, the Al Yankovic story. So I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you guys are interested.
This has been coming out for a while. I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a new trailer, but yeah, I've seen a few trailers in the past. And
I've not seen anything about this movie, and I was pleasantly surprised.
They see me writing nerdy.
Daniel Radcliffe is fucking ripped.
He looks good in it as well.
He does.
He does look good in it. I must admit. It's going to be great.
Also starring Diedrich Bader and Rainn Wilson, who plays Dwight in Office Space. The Office, rather.
Not Office Space.
Yeah,
it's got a
6.5.
Dwight, you ignorant slut. It's one of my favorite quotes from The Office, and we have it on a pillow in our house.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying, Ed?
I was going to say that the cast for that Al Yankovic looks it's great, and I think for what I've seen, that the performances look like it's going to be a really enjoyable watch.
Yeah, it's actually written by Weird Al Yankovic himself too. Now, I don't know how much of a piss take of it being his autobiography or how serious he's taken it. It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
because you could easily believe that he's clearly on the spectrum, right? So his life could be crazy, or it could be all made up bullshit. You just don't know.
That's it. Is it going to be a piss take on a piss take?
Yeah. Directed by Eric Apple, who has done episodes of Silicon Valley, Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He also directed a shitload of episodes of Die Hard, which I never watched.
Die Hard.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Which was a piss take. It's a Roku original piss take with
Kevin Hart?
With Kevin Hart.
I've seen that. It's popped up, and I'm just like, what is this?
A lot of amazing actors in that series. John Travolta, Jean Reno, Ben Schwartz, all-star cast. So clearly he's got some backing behind him, but I've not watched it. Anyway.
I think it was... this is a random thought that goes in my head every time I think of Weird Al Yankovic is the movie The Vidiot.
Idiots.
And Spatula City. Spatula City, kids, we need a new spatula. And they go to check it out. It's a great.
It
Ed,
sounds
are
like
you
a
high?
fever dream, bro.
Oh, dude, no, go and find yourself a
420
copy of
movie?
it.
420 movie by the sounds of
Oh,
it.
definitely. It's
I can't even find it on fucking IMDb, man.
The Vidiot. I think it's called the Vidiot. But it's if you look at Spatula City, it'll come up. But it's
Spatula City. Never thought I'd be typing that in, and it is not in IMDb, man.
I'll find.
There it is. There it is.
Yeah. So Spatula City is an ad that pops up during the movie.
Right. Okay. Moving on.
Moving on.
As we digress, it's just Weird Al. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Weird Al as well. But yeah, well worth a watch for like a tacky as shit 80s movie.
Yeah.
Something.
Okay.
All right. We're going to drag ourselves out of the mire and into Bike Riders.
Bike Riders. This popped up on as a suggestion on YouTube for me today. But it's Tom
What did you
Hardy.
think?
Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, and Jodie Comer in a 60s Chicago biker film. So if if you were really missing your Sons of Anarchy fix, this is like a weird.
It felt like a mix between that and Goodfellas.
Yeah. It was curious, I guess is probably the best way I'd put it. Yeah. But it looked interesting, and a good cast.
Tom Hardy's a great actor.
Yeah. Jodie Comer's brilliant too. Jodie Comer's been in a bunch of stuff, and she's very, very good. And then I haven't seen any of the stuff that Austin Butler's really been in, but I've heard great things from people who have seen him. So, yeah, look, if you want to watch, it looks to be a story about a guy who's in a motorcycle, or part of a founder of a motorcycle game, maybe even the founder's son. And then he meets a girl who wants to pull him out of that life, but he keeps getting drawn back in. And it's, I never watched Sons of Anarchy, so I'm sure it's, there might be some parallels to that. But it's that's the new one coming out. That's the first. Yeah, it's just popped up. There you go.
Yeah, fair enough.
It looks decently shot. Definitely probably one of those ones I'll wait till it's streaming and then go watch it.
Yeah,
I'm not dying to go
precisely.
see it.
That's exactly what I'll do. Yeah.
But yeah, could be interesting. Could be an interesting film. And then game trailer.
Yeah.
First Descendant.
Yeah, I came across this today when I was looking at Gamescom. So the First Descendant.
Yes.
Looks like a Warframe Destiny kind of fantasy game, which is
fantasy sci-fi.
Yeah, fantasy, and it looks super, super cool. But I put it in because they've got. It's one of those very few games that has like an open beta. That's like, I think it's like from the 19th to the 28th of this month.
Right.
So it's one of those games where they only had the trailer at Gamescom, but with an open beta, it's one of those things you may as well give it a shot, get the odd chance to see whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
I said I don't know too much about it. It looked pretty cool. Like the
design, the world design looked really cool.
The world design looks super, super cool. So yeah, it's one of those ones that, given that it's got an open beta, to kind of jump in, have a bit of a kind of play around.
It looked very JRPG to me.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones where you kind of
it's not RPG, but it looked very
the character
JRPG.
Design was very Final Fantasy, and then it was mixing with
the
sci-fi of a lot of Western games. It was always an interesting mismatch.
Japanese sci-fi. It reminded me more of Japanese sci-fi than Western sci-fi. Yeah. It's very high tech, but Battle Angel Alita style high tech. It's all cyber tech,
right?
And then the actual gameplay looked like a mix between a Souls-esque game and almost Destiny.
And that's what I thought. It had like that Destiny kind of Warframe kind of
looter shooter kind of thing. Yeah.
Looter shooter. So it was a bit. I don't know. It was a weird mashup, and
you couldn't tell if it was spammy or like Souls-esque in those boss fights, because they're like 9 foot tall, and you don't know if it's a timing based Souls-esque style. I'm going to get whammied here, or if it's just mash the fucking buttons Diablo style.
And they're just going to be bullet sponges. So that's what I was thinking in there. The open beta is from the 18th or 19th of September, and
okay.
that kind of tickles your fancy. It
Tickles your pickle.
Get half a chance to kind of test it out, and away you go.
Yeah, cool.
Sweet.
I'm nowhere near ready for my next beer, so do we want to move into the spotlight?
Yeah. I'm actually, I'm still very in between these two beers. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll wait.
So our spotlight's going to be a bit kind of all over the place, and I'm not that it would be the first time, but this one's kind of by design. So obviously with the release of Starfield, it's a massive RPG from Bethesda. So I kind of wanted to talk about my initial thoughts after, I don't know, 20 odd 30 hours maybe on the game, and get some ideas from Ed, because he's really the only other person in our podcast sphere of influence that we talk to on a regular basis playing the game. And then you're playing Skyrim at the moment, Tom, which is obviously very similar but quite different. And then it's kind of wanted to draw the lens back, if we have time, and talk a little bit more about RPGs more generally, because it's not the only style of RPG, and about what makes RPGs amazing.
I'm sure that we've all played more than a handful.
Yes. Yeah. And also, it just seems to line up really well with BG3, which is also another RPG, but also a very different style of RPG.
Yes.
One might argue the more traditional style of RPG from a video game standpoint in some respects.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do we want to kick off with Starfield?
I think you two should start waxing lyrical about Starfield.
Yeah,
let's go one at a time, though, not at the same time, because that'll be confusing for the listeners.
Yeah. Do you want to go first, Ed?
Ed is the guest. Guest goes first.
So I'm about 12 or 15 hours into Starfield.
That's rookie numbers. You got to pump those up, baby.
It is rookie numbers, and I'm not touching to me playing another RPG at the same time. But I'll touch on Starfield first. So I'm finding that I am getting lost in the world of Starfield.
In a good way?
In a good way, yes,
okay.
Because the way that when I say
not lost in the UI.
No, not lost in the UI. And when I say lost in Starfield, for an RPG, for me, the biggest thing about a good RPG is being immersed and getting lost in the world that it has created.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I said in the chat that I was always going to be a space pirate scallywag. I've chosen a
scoundrel, if you will.
Yeah, scoundrel, if you will. So you can choose your kind of your attributes. I chose gangster and street rat, and I've been arrested for fucking stealing foam cups. Dude,
what does that mean in terms of those character traits?
So I'm just pure criminal.
Okay, good.
That's not scoundrel. That's just because scoundrels kind of Han Solo walk the line. They're morally ambiguous,
morally right, but
on the right side of the line.
And we've got righteous, but at the same time, I've committed a crime, and I've had to go off and do a job, committed a crime that I've been told to do, and then I've come back, and the guy's being cross-examined by a chancellor, and I've thrown that dude under the bus within a blink. And man, it is fantastic. I'm really I haven't really touched the main story. I've just been doing side quests and learning how to build the ship. I got stuck on. I keep on turning up. I spent last night and today, just before I got on the podcast, finally destroyed this ship. It was a level 26 ship, and I'm level 2, kind of basic upgrades. It took me ages, but it was just the fact of I had to go off and get ship parts, so I could actually heal my ship.
In the middle of the mission.
Middle of the mission. So I had to go off and do some side quests. So I had enough credits to go off and do that, then kind of upgrade.
Why didn't you just steal the ship parts? What kind of criminal are you?
Yeah, no, well, I had to go off and do these chunky jobs so I could get the credits and all that type of stuff. And every dead body that I've come across, I've searched and stolen their credits and everything like that. Yeah, so for me, for it being an RPG, and me an RPG is, fully verse myself into the world that it's intended to create. For me, it's doing a perfect job. I'm happy kind of running around just doing side quests, kind of working out where I've got to buy stuff, just interacting with characters, and NPCs, and I'm not concerned about the main story at all. I'm just happy to go in there and just fly around to each of the planets and do what I've got to do, and pick up some resources and
explore
and just feel like I'm living in the world that is Starfield.
So what this is saying to me, Ed, is that if you were given the choice, you would be a cold-hearted criminal without if there was no repercussions and you could save and load, you would without a heartbeat.
Because it's a role-playing game, and in real life, I cannot lie to save my life. So for me, the perfect role-playing game is me being a character that lies, that cheats, that does everything freaking wrong.
But you get away, yeah.
And I get away with it. And
I mean, that's actually the most pure form of RPG play.
And it's the pure form. And I was thinking, I was like, that's what it's meant to be, because it kind of, and I'll touch on a bit after we have this discussion about Starfield, is about me having a chronic addiction to Final Fantasy 14, which is again getting lost in a world that you kind of like escape from, because that's the other end of the scale of I spent an hour or two of being like the ultimate hero, and being goody two shoes, and then I go just be can't even lie straight in bed, and it's just, that's what RPGs are. It takes you, they're meant to take you away from the.
I think that's one aspect of it.
I
think we'll get really messy.
Yeah, and
if
we'll
I
really
talk
get into
about
it. For Starfield, and I'm learning how it all kind of like the being the first real Bethesda game that I've played is.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I've played a little bit of.
See, that's a significant comment.
I think,
in terms of contextualizing the game for you.
Yeah, and that's another big thing for me, because and I think with Starfield, the ability, which we kind of talked before about, was, and it might have been off air, was having the different views, like first person view game, like first person shot games for me don't do anything for me. So the ability to have that kind of third person view, that's why Starfield was to me. But in saying that, I do third person running around when I'm actually on a planet, but when I'm actually in my spaceship, it's first person cockpit, because that's
I'm the
fantastic.
Exact fucking opposite.
Yeah,
I will run around a planet first person, but if I get in a ship, it needs to be third person.
Yeah, no, I'm 180, man. I just find there's something about being in the cockpit. It's just like
I'm 50-50. I'm first person all the way. I'm first person on planet and in
VR
and
slut.
in cockpit. So you've not played any Bethesda games. This just suddenly got really fascinating. So, do you have any criticisms that you would level?
Would have been good to know that before this discussion as well. Like, that is a major. That's a mic drop of a comment.
Yeah, well, I had to keep a surprise.
Also, I'm
somewhere.
a virgin.
And I like long walks along the beach.
Because I was going to say, my favorite thing about Bethesda games when you're playing an RPG is that if you're talking about like completely diving into that thieving outlaw character, is that when I get into a bed in a Bethesda game and I sleep for 8 hours, I wake up fully rested. And that does not happen in real life.
Fucking oath. Yeah.
Also, I own property. I own several properties in my Bethesda games.
I'll touch on my.
Collect those bobbleheads, Tom.
I did.
So, okay. Do you have any criticism of the game so far?
I am finding that I do have to go and teach myself how to do something. Like it took me a couple of goes to work out what I had, like going off and like modding the ship.
Mhm.
That was very much self-taught. There's
yeah,
and whether I missed something because I'm kind of
You
used
didn't.
to.
There's no tutorials. There's no.
Yeah, so
there's
it's
very
it's
little
like,
in-game help.
Yeah, so I was like, there you go. But in saying that, like that's the criticism that I got because I'm so used to kind of like with RPGs or any type of game, it's like, here's how you got to do this, and they take you through that kind of tutorial, like really in-depth tutorial. But in saying that, it's to a point where I'm happy to go off and learn how to do it because I'm having so much fun kind of traveling around.
And look, I gotta be honest. The mechanics of shipbuilding are quite intuitive. So whilst there are no instructions, you can't exit the builder without seeing the warning message that you can only have one reactor, and your engines don't give you enough maneuverability to take off. And so there are some basic requirements that they won't let you proceed.
Yeah, exactly. There's the basic kind of tick and flick of what's going to happen, but yeah, I said I went off for this, and I did go off and do this mission where the ship was level 26, so I was extremely under spec, but it was kind of like I was like, okay, I've done this. There was a lot of trial and error, but doing that trial and error, and that for me again is another component of what makes an RPG good, is that if you're happy to go off and do that trial and error kind of process of going off and crafting and kind of grinding out some missions so you can get some credits to do what you got to do. And then it's the satisfaction of like when that ship blew up. With like it was just like
we've all fought enemies 17 levels above us that we shouldn't have fought.
So how far in are you in terms of the main story? Have you what was the last thing you did? Because it sounds like there's no spoilers. You're that early into the game.
Yeah, no. I pretty much just like I did the first mining mission.
Yep.
Got to New Atlantis, and then they're like, "Oh, you've got to go wherever." And I haven't gone there yet.
And you went a big double bird.
Yeah, okay.
Fuck you. I'm going to go over and rob that guy because he's asleep.
I went for the next shiny thing, and I keep on going for shiny thing after shiny thing.
You're a magpie. That's what you are.
And I'm a magpie bowerbird, and I know what's going to happen. I'm going to do all these side quests. I'm going to
But that's every Bethesda game ever. That's why it's important to know that you're a Bethesda virgin. Did you ever play No Man's Sky?
No, but it's on my list of wanting to play.
Yeah, that's ruined it for you, man. Just so you know. You fucked it.
Yeah, true.
You played it in the wrong order.
Yeah, true, yeah.
There's no way that you will be able to go to NMS. There's no fucking way.
I had a feeling like I kind of like when I kind of pulled the trigger of like, all right, I'm going to pre-order Starfield. It was kind of like a week before it came out, and I was like, I just had this sinking feeling of like I should have actually, like when I knew Starfield was coming out, I should have played a bit of No Man's Sky. But in saying that,
yeah, Can I? Is there anything else you wanted to add, or do you want me to jump in?
No, I was just going to say, apart from that, I'm going to touch on Are You Winning Some? It's enjoyable. I can see myself going to work, getting home from work. I can log into my Final Fantasy 14, do my kind of like running around stuff, and then as soon as I do that, I can see myself going straight into Starfield. I can see my kind of like my evening of like just jumping into RPGs, and that's what RPGs are. That is that escape from fucking reality, and it's
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
sorry, we're not laughing at you. We're laughing at the fact that my fiance just crawled through the back of my screen to say hello to my dog.
Oh, there she is.
And now you're on screen. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Yeah.
This is men's time.
We're supposed to be in the cave, the man cave.
I was like, come on, man, I'm just a nerd. Why are you laughing at me?
No, you're right. That is exactly what a good RPG is about. It's about. But I would also So, and we're going to get into this meta discussion about what is an RPG. I think it's actually quite important to kind of for us to baseline our opinion on that topic after I go through Starfield and then Tom, you talk about Skyrim. But like all video games are about escapism, and so you can play a non-RPG and still kind of get immersed in a world. And I would 100%. Argue that the game's not worth playing of any genre unless you're immersed in that world. But you're right, RPGs do have that special place of being driven around that.
They are especially immersive.
Yeah, they are. They should be. So, okay, so I've tried to be meta. I've tried to be kind of step back and look at this
because I want to go balls to the wall. Do it.
Balls to the wall. All right, I'll give you the good, the bad, and the overall.
Yep.
And one of the quotes. I want to start with a quote because I actually found this really interesting.
To be or not to be? Oh, sorry.
That is the question. Kotaku's Zach Zweisen. What a fantastic name too. Man. Zach McCracken.
You know my thoughts about Kotaku? Fuck him.
Imagine a game. Its soon-to-be hero of unknown but mutable name and gender awakens with a start, only to suddenly be thrust into a grand adventure in a larger world. The budding hero doesn't miss a beat, quickly becoming powerful, joining various factions and solving mysteries and completing quests across the land. Along the way, they explore a massive open world filled with enemies to kill and loot, as well as cities that contain guards, peaceful NPCs, merchants, and taverns. Also, weirdly, a lot of the time, this extraordinary individual never accomplishes what they set out to do, instead getting lost building settlements or grinding out their cooking skills. Mm-hmm. What game did I just describe? Basically, every Bethesda game studio RPG ever released.
Well, we're sorry it's not on the Switch and it's not a Legend of Zelda game and it's not fucking Elden Ring.
But it is absolutely true, though. It is Bethesda.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like
they do make a formula. Yes, but you know what, Tom? I completely agree with that sentiment, except when fuckwit game studio developers make statements like, this is the most important RPG ever released. And then you go, nah, you're full of shit and you're trying to sell games.
That's right? Marketing 101.
In the same vein that he says, this game has benefited from being an exclusive title because it allowed us to really hone in on the Xbox hardware. Get fucked. It allowed you to hone in on the exact same make, model, and brand of hardware as is running in the PS5. What a load of horse shit. That Ron guy, is it Ron?
Todd Howard.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Ron Howard's the director.
Ron Howard. Yeah,
who did Willow?
Yeah. Okay, so the good from my perspective, it is like Skyrim in space, which is why I wanted to say that.
Is it Skyrim or Oblivion? Because I've read a review that said it was more Oblivion than Skyrim.
Oblivion is a reference to kind of the weird world hopping you do at the end of Oblivion. It's more of a reference to the story.
I think Oblivion was more in a reference to, like the Oblivion gates would randomly open and people would just, like, enemies would pour through randomly, as opposed to, like, in Skyrim when you're running around, there's like a single dragon will come down and fight you.
I look, mechanically it is
also
like,
the powers you had. Like, you got the special shout powers in Skyrim, but you didn't have those in Oblivion. You had your
It's closer to Skyrim.
Fuck yeah.
Like, I don't want to drop any spoilers, Ed, but I've got to say I did the exact same thing as you did. I started playing the game. Mm-hmm. I got immediately distracted after I got to New Atlantis. I went and did a whole bunch of other shit I'm about to talk about, and I've only just gone back to do one of the, because you do your tutorial quest, you meet the faction that you're a part of that you're forced into, and then after you complete the tutorial mission, he gives you 3 missions, and you can run anyone in any order you want. Yeah. I picked one and finished that. That's as far as I've gotten. And I got to say, it genuinely surprised me, the end of that mission. It introduced a game mechanic I never expected to be in this form of game. Uh-huh. And that's all I'm going to say on that topic. So it is more like Skyrim than it is Oblivion, and it's also closer to Skyrim than it is Fallout.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
But there's always some random distraction or side quest or some other mechanic in the game that feels really rewarding and kind of hits that serotonin beat. But it just drip feeds you.
Yeah, and that's what I'm finding as well. It's kind of like it's you read a quest and like you'd be like, go and speak to this person, go and speak to like, we want you to do this. You're like, that's just enough to keep me interested and actually follow that through. And it's,
but the thing with so there's a couple of things with Bethesda you wouldn't have kind of like contextually you wouldn't get. Bethesda has a very specific sense of humor.
Mhm.
It's usually quite dark and fucked up in a sense of it's like the Murphy's Law turned into a humorous game mechanic, right?
Oh, there's some NPCs which I'm like, that is very much that's got to be.
How's your devoted fan going? Has he found you yet?
Oh no, I've found one, and then I came across today Trevor, who's this Aussie fucking miner, and he's such like living in WA. And in Queensland,
that's a little bit close to home, isn't it?
you come across these guys all the time, and the accent and how he talks is just like, that is a dude that does FIFO to a T, a T.
But there's a reference to Tom was making a specific reference to a Skyrim character,
Oblivion character.
Yeah,
Oblivion character.
I've heard about it.
Fan, yes,
which is one of the traits.
Yeah.
And
I've heard
neither
about
Ed nor I chose. My dad picked that trait, and the guy follows him
really?
and annoys the shit out of my dad. So the other part of the good. So my good point's where it's like Skyrim in space, and it is a good thing. The other good point is the scope. So the game mechanics take parts
like
of
the actual scope of the rifles you're talking about, or the scope of the game.
the game.
Okay.
The game takes.
That's fair. It's a space shooter.
True. The game takes the game mechanics out of a whole bunch of other games and melds them together quite seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an advanced construction engine in this game. You can build outposts that I will get into in a sec that can get very fucking complicated. And there are whole genres of games, there's whole games that are built around exclusively that. There is no RPG engine in it. There's no storyline. There's no quest. You just go and build a space factory in it, and you collect resources and you use those resources to create like power supplies that power harvesters that pull resources, and you have to store them and use those resources in builders or factories to make parts, and those parts make other things. There's whole games built around that.
Yeah.
Satisfactory is a good example. There's a few ones where you're in space. I can't remember the name of it. Dad was playing it for a long time, and I think we might have talked about it before on the podcast, where you build space stations out of these component parts. That whole concept is baked into this game, but so is the Lego-like shipbuilding interface that you were talking about before, Ed. There is a gap in that Lego shipbuilding interface in that and it's not intuitive on an Xbox. It's probably much easier with a mouse and keyboard, but you literally build parts or you put parts on a screen and you kind of construct it together. You've got your shields and your bridge where you sit to pilot, and you've got your landing struts and your engine and your reactor core, and you need your helium-3 gas tank so you can get you can warp space and travel into interstellar. But you also have things like hard points and just cowling to make the ship look pretty, and structural points that really have no function. They're more about form, and it's actually really well laid out as a shipbuilding mechanic. But there's no mechanism to see what the internal layout is of the ship as you're building it. So you can build a ship that's completely convoluted to get into. So you walk in through the landing, you go up your hatch, and then you have to go to the other side of the ship, up a ladder, back to the start of the ship, up another ladder to finally get to the fucking cockpit. Like, if you're dumb or you're not thinking ahead,
right? Okay,
you can really plan out a poorly structured ship in terms of internal layout, and the game doesn't show you any of that until after you've committed and spent the money. You have Wing Commander-esque space combat. Now, I say that, I don't know that Wing Commander is the game I'm thinking of, but there have been plenty of space combat games where you have to manage power, like power management. I put all my power in shields.
Did that.
Well, the original TIE Fighter did that, but I'm fairly certain the first game that I can remember is Wing Commander.
Yeah.
You have No Man's Sky style planet exploration and resource gathering. You bound around. The planets have different gravities, and your jetpack boost works differently depending on how strong the gravity is. You got flora and fauna that are procedurally generated, and then you have frantic Fallout combat, and it's I wrote down though blissfully less clunky than Fallout gun combat. So it's as frantic and urgent as Fallout gun combat, but it's less clunky and broken.
When you say this, what do you mean? This intrigues me because I've obviously platted Fallout 4, but I never used the VAT system when I was using combat. I actively avoided the VAT system and just kind of went to like straight first-person shooter.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the AI mechanics in Fallout 3 New Vegas. I didn't play 4 all the way through. I didn't plat 4.
Yeah, okay.
I platted 3 in New Vegas.
Yep.
And I got about halfway through 4. The AI can be really stupid in Fallout games to a point where you can exploit the stupidity of the characters. You know that they're going to... And Skyrim's the same, by the way.
Oh, yeah. You get someone trapped in between two posts and like a statue, and you can just arrow them till they die. Yeah.
Until they die. You can just... Yeah. And so there's a lot less of that I've noticed. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I've got to say, they don't do a brilliant, perfect job of a lot of those mechanics, but I don't know how many other games have all of those mechanics in one game.
Yeah.
And so I've put that in the good quality.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought the same thing. I thought there's no kind of mechanic that they've got a lot of mechanics, and there's no mechanics that are either fantastic and there's no mechanics that are super bad. It's like which is impressive because the mechanics they've got is they've just
froth Peter.
I was going to say, you wanted him more head with that or what?
I like head. What can I say?
Anyway, the mechanics.
When you sipped it and just went, and then just tried not to choke on it.
There's your dinner, Pete.
So here's the bad. That was the good, right? Okay. Here's the bad. There's no quality of life polish in the game at all. It was like it was never fucking beta tested. You have over 1,000.
Okay.
You have over 1,000 planets that you can visit, explore, scan, set up bases on. Yeah. And yet, and this is in a galaxy, and it's quite hard to navigate the galaxy in the galaxy map. And yet, there is no interface where you can search for a star or a planet you've already discovered. There's no database that shows you can instantly jump to a list of your bases.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no UI interface where you can just go, hey, go to my second base on Rigel 5, and it just takes you there. There's just none of that. You have to manually find the star system that you drop the base in. So to me, that's QoS, QOL, quality of life. Does that
mean there's no like any sort of fast travel system?
No, there's fast travel. We'll get to that in a second, mate. And it's probably the most controversial point. No. It's probably the most controversial point I'll make. But no,
it's more. You can't go from. So I'm thinking of the Skyrim map.
You can fast travel if you can locate your base on the star map. You can open up the solar system, and it will show you all the planets in the solar system, and you can fast travel to the planet. But you have to find it on the star map first.
So you can't do the thing of. So I'm talking purely from playing Skyrim right now, which is a previous Bethesda game. You have a mission that takes me to Falkreath, the town down south. I can go show. There's no show on map button in your quests log. Then it takes you to the map and it zooms you there, and then you go fast travel.
So there is a show on map button for quests.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is no show on map button for planets I've previously discovered.
And home bases.
Or bases I've previously built.
Right. Okay. Yep.
And the universe is big. I mean, 1,000 planets is... you can pretty much visit... Yeah. In every solar system, there are at least one planet. You can land on any planet that is not a gas giant. So any planet that has a physical... like a ground you can land on and explore.
A crust, if you will.
A crust. Or moons. There's no settlement maps at all. So when you're in a large town, and it's a multi-zonal town that you have to load into various segments of the town, there's no map.
Yeah, I mean the town map for Skyrim was pretty shit. You just had to remember where you had to go.
Well, there is no map whatsoever
Okay.
in this.
Yeah.
There's no item lock to prevent you selling shit in a very complicated inventory that's categorized. So each of your items is in a category, and
Quest items get locked or not?
one quest item I've found so far did, and one did not.
Ooh, that's a
But
misstep.
I can't even, like, even if I put my favorite guns on I favorite my guns. I put a little heart symbol on them, and they're quickly accessible through the D-pad.
Yep.
I can sell those accidentally anytime I walk into a seller.
That tracks with Skyrim and Fallout.
Sure, but to me, these are quality of life improvements, and I don't want a Skyrim set in space. I want a 2023 video game, not a 2015 video game in space.
You want to sell all junk function kind of thing, and then
like many hundreds of games.
Favorite stand over here outside of your general backpack.
And these are just examples.
I'm with you. I get you. Yeah.
Then you've got these quests. Now, I love the fact, and I agree with you, Ed, I love the fact that I can literally stand somewhere and overhear a conversation that results in me getting an item in my quest list to say, go and investigate what those guys were talking about. And that could lead into a full-blown quest. Yeah. Except I find some quests are just poorly written and dead-ended. So I found this quest. It was really cool. I overheard this lady talking in this town that I just landed in. Mm-hmm. She was complaining to herself. I spoke to her and she said, look, I'm a slag pilot. I'm doing my first mission for this new company. I just have to I just had to fly a shipment of slag metal from point A to point B. And now all of a sudden I've got this tracker after me. He's a bounty hunter. I don't know what the fuck is going on. My name wasn't properly registered against the shipment. Just my surname, not my first name. Would you mind, you look very capable, pretending to be me, the bounty hunter's in the bar in the same city we're in. Can you pose as me and just get to the bottom of this shit?
Right.
Just deal with it for me. And you go, yeah, okay, cool. Of course you do. Go into the bar. There's a guy with a fucking cowboy hat on, which is cool to start with, I've got to say. Space cowboys are awesome. And you talk to him and he goes,
a song by Tesla.
Yeah. You walk up to him. You walk up to him and you mention something about a drink, and he goes, "Can you leave me the fuck alone? I'm in a bar. I've got shit to do." And you go, I can't remember how you hook into the conversation, but you basically hook into the conversation and say, "Well, I'm blah blah blah, and yes, I would like a drink." And he goes, "You're the guy I'm looking for." You go, well, I'm here to hunt you down. There's a bounty on your head. I'm gonna have a shootout with you, basically, in the bar. And you say, but you seem like a decent guy, and I haven't done anything wrong. Can we just sort this out, civilized like? And he goes, you stole pharmaceuticals from a charity organization to save a bunch of kids, and you killed like 50 people on your way out of town. What do you mean you did nothing wrong? And you're like, what the fuck's going on? Clearly this lady.
Yeah, that sounds like a Bethesda quest.
Clearly this lady set me up. So I convinced him to let me go. And he goes, fine, I won't kill you, but I got to tell you, I got to warn you. Like, you go through a persuasion mini game. Yeah. And he says, I got to tell you, others will come after you, though. Like, this isn't the last of it. I'll leave you alone, but there'll be other bounty hunters. You go back to the lady and you say, I sorted it out. This is what happened. By the way, there's some weird shit going on. Do you want to tell me the real story? And she goes, okay, thanks very much for sorting it out. I'll see you later. And that's the end of the fucking quest. I was like, but what about the children and the pharmaceuticals? And no.
That feels like from someone who's played a lot of Bethesda games.
Is she going to come back later? I don't know.
No. There's potentially a conversational piece.
I checked. As soon as I finished the quest, I checked. Right, I didn't miss anything. I did everything.
Yeah, because normally they if they're going to do that, then it's like. You missed one. You picked a 1 point wrong or something.
But no. Yeah. Outpost building is broken.
Okay.
Now I don't want to spend 15 minutes. I don't want to spend 15 minutes explaining this, but so I'm going to try and do it really quickly.
Yep.
There is this very complicated mechanic in the game where you can collect resources off the periodic table of elements like iron and chlorine and phosphor and all the rest of it. You can combine those elements. You can combine those elements to build one of maybe 1,000. One of 250 base building objects. You can build habitats. You can decorate those habitats.
Do you have to do a couple of quests to have the ability to build this house?
No.
Okay.
It is an expansion. Whenever? Correct, but it is an expansion of the Fallout 4 homestead system.
Right. Okay.
But in a very, very complicated way. So your base can build up to 3 cargo links, which are like shipping landing pads, and they link to your other outposts on other planets. So your other planet might mine iron ore and aluminium ore.
Yeah.
And you build a cargo link over there, and every 5 minutes a starship will come and collect all your iron and aluminium ore and drop it over to your main planet.
Because you used to, you did the same thing.
Yeah, it's a caravan system from Fallout 4, except it's fundamentally broken. So it's like they've built this amazing level of complexity, but they didn't test it, and it's buggy as fuck. So I'm collecting. So the way that they've limited it is you can only have up to 3 cargo links in any given base.
Right.
So my main base links to 3 other bases. Those 3 bases might mine 1 or 2 resources each, but they've got 2 more cargo links they can build. So they can go and link to 2 other bases each. Now, in my fleet, I've only got 6 bases total. I've got maybe 15 different resources I'm mining.
Yep.
But because the ships, I'm collecting these resources at different rates, the ships don't balance the resources. So sometimes I get a shipment of 500 kilos of iron and no chlorine and no gold and no silver. And that silver, gold, and chlorine is just building up in the other station.
Yeah.
And then the next shipment, I'll get 5 kilos of aluminium and I'll get 5 kilos of. It's just this most random. There's no way to set filters. There's no way to set limits.
So you can't select, say, I want equal parts of everything.
It literally just randomly picks. And so I've spent. So, Ed, you talk about doing your side quests. I've spent almost 80% of my total time played building outposts.
Yeah,
so far.
See, I came across outposts the other day. I'd been. Maybe Friday. And I looked at it and straight away I was like, the fuck is going on here? Like, I kind of got the gist of it, but I was like, that doesn't interest me at the moment. I just thought there's something a little bit kind of odd about the
Bethesda house building and like outpost building's always been a bit weird though. Like, I think of the difference between the Fallout system and the Skyrim system. Like, so in Fallout, there's same kind of mining things. You have things delivered. You have chains between your outposts otherwise to things. But in Skyrim, it's literally just, hey, build a pretty house. It's a pretty house.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so this is core to the game, and I want to. I think that's actually important to understand.
Okay,
that you can't. Excuse me. You can't succeed in the game without doing research and that into gun mods and spaceship mods and spacesuit mods.
You got to do
and you can't,
the crafting and
but you can't research. Forget crafting. You can't even research the items without resources, and then you can't craft those items after you've researched the resources. This is a core game mechanic. And and what I'm dropping into the show notes, and I guess for anyone watching the YouTube video, you'll see it as well. This is my base, and the other thing is I broke the game. So in the game, you've got a couple of key resources in your base. One's power, and so you can create these power stations. They might be solar or they might be wind. And I thought it was cool that solar panels produce less energy the further away from the sun the planet happens to be.
That's good.
And wind generators or wind turbines only produce energy if there's an atmosphere, and they produce more energy if the atmosphere is more aggressive. I thought that was cool too. But you link items that consume electricity to electricity producers through these invisible red lines, which you'll see in the screenshots. And you basically go into base building.
I literally thought you had so many automatic gun turrets protecting your spaceship there.
So there's two things here. There's two things here. So first, energy goes from a reactor or a solar panel to a harvester.
Right.
And that's what one red line will be. And they're like spider webs in the game. And you only see them when you're in base building mode. When you're in walk around mode, you don't see them. The other thing is you have this mechanic where you can send resources between items. So I've got a bunch of storage units, and you say one storage unit, and they're stacked 4 tall, and the bottom storage unit forwards all resources to the next unit up, and the next unit up, and the next unit up, and then zigzags down. And basically, you can pour items into the first storage unit, and it will just move them down the laneway.
So it's just a conveyor belt.
Except once you get to about 400 items on your base, and the build limit is this, you can maybe build 5,000 items, and you can see from the screenshots, I've got quite a few. The spider web of red lines is so complicated that the game just fails to load. So I've gone into my outpost into building mode, and I can no longer go into the helicopter view that it provides you with because it's too complicated for it to process. I've fallen through the world trying twice.
Right.
So this is a game that...
Well, that's a patch.
Yeah. That's
There's some other...
That's a Bethesda bug there, baby.
There's some other fundamental flaws in the game building mechanics that I like. It requires me to go into a lot more depth, and it's beyond the scope of a podcast. But to me, it's just...
Whereas I'm laughing in a chest that has 800 dragon bones in it, just like going, it can't hold them all.
I'm glad you went down that rabbit hole, Pete. Now,
it's impressive in scope.
Right? Yeah, it's when I first I worked out for a little bit the other night. Kind of played around with it a little bit, but I looked at it and I'm like, I'm not going to spend my time something like this, which is like for me.
You will have to.
Yeah,
you can't play the game without it.
I will have to. I don't understand that.
You will be.
It's definitely something to get super involved in it when I'm not even out of the first quest line.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will deal with that when I get to the quest line, and me being the magpie, I getting distracted. By the time I get to that,
it's distracting in the most amazing way.
Yeah. And it's very much like an end game type of thing. It's one of those things.
Also, that's a feather in Bethesda's cap. Is the way that they distract you with these things.
I could see like when and that was probably the biggest part when I started looking at it, like I've got to stop myself because as soon as I start going down that rabbit hole, that's all I'll be doing. Like,
I spent 3 days building houses in Skyrim that I have no real use for.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just get to a point where like I would have achieved what I need to achieve out of that, and then I'm going to go way past it. Like I lost like 3 days the other week playing Anno 1800. I was just building an island.
Let me wrap this so we don't get too far off track quickly. I'm just about finished. I was just going to say there's a couple other basic things basic criticisms I want to level it, then the big one.
Good, because I've got a question after that.
Also, where the actual fuck are my vehicles? There's no on-planet vehicles.
Yeah, no, they did say that that's a big concern out of.
They said after the fact, we consciously took them out. No bullshit. I'm sorry, 10,000 people asking you where they are, and your answer is, we built them, but we decided to take them out.
Yeah, no.
For PC, Bethesda signed another exclusive deal beyond the Microsoft exclusivity. Bethesda signed another exclusive deal with AMD to support their upscaling to 4K
and
technology.
There is a mod, and I'm going to download my first mod so I can get my NVIDIA.
Yeah, you have to download them. So the technology built into AMD video cards to upscale from 1080 to 4K is integrated into the video game, but the same technology support for the drivers for NVIDIA and Intel are not there. There is a third-party mod that added older support for the older implementation for NVIDIA, but he put it behind a paywall if you want the latest technology. So Bethesda are just signing.
Does installing your mod disable achievements / trophies?
I don't know. It's PC only.
So there is a lot of mods that do. But and I've got to do a research before I actually get the right mod. But there are a few people that have come up with mods for DLSS, which is the deep learning super sampling, NVIDIA. you can install that mod, and it bypasses the
anti-cheating.
The anti-cheating.
So I didn't want to bore people with DLSS, but DLSS is up to.
They're still working on that. They're still, like, it's unfounded, unconfirmed. But as soon as
they're up to version 3 of that API, and the mod that you're talking about only supports DLSS 2. So and he put 3 behind a paywall, and people have now hacked his mod. The last thing I wanted to say, which is the controversial one, is that there's no actual traveling in this game. There is no.
I agree.
It's all loading screens. Everything is a fucking loading screen.
Right.
You want to go from so the main city, the first city you go to is about 12 different loading screens depending on where you go. There's like segments of the map, and then you go into a lift and there's like 4 different items, and that's a loading screen. Or you get on the tram and that's a loading screen. Or you go you get on your ship and you go to space, that's a loading screen. You travel into solar system from one planet to another. It could be a moon of the planet you're already at. That's a loading screen. You go into galactic.
If you literally you load up to your
fade
ship,
to black.
But could you? If you select that moon, or if you physically
if you were to point the ship at the moon and go full pelt, you would never get there. The only way to get there. The only way to get there is by loading screen. When you're on a new planet, and someone complained about this, and we talked about it very briefly. There was a rumor that a guy walked for 10 minutes and hit a wall. That's actually a real complaint. I've walked to the boundary on the map.
Oh, you did it?
Because I did it for a specific game mechanic reason too. I was looking for some resources, and each planet is split into biomes.
And I got lost in the wilderness looking for gold.
each planet is split into biomes, so you might have volcanic mountains with 2 resources plus a rare resource, and then you might have sandy desert, which is 2 resources plus a rare resource. And if you land in the right spot, you can actually pick the dividing line between the 2 biomes and get all 6 resources in one spot for your outpost.
Clever.
Except if you don't pick the landing spot, you walk for 15 minutes and you hit a wall and it says you cannot go any further. And you have to get back on your ship, and then you can land right next to that ping and keep exploring.
I think that, and this is me being the kind of I can understand the people complain about they wanting to actually be able to walk around a planet and not have those walls, but it comes back to what is
how are you going to fill it?
If you're gonna go into
on that, you guys keep talking. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quickly. I'm gonna answer that question when I come back, though, Tom.
All right, I'm waiting.
Yeah, so if you go and load those assets into Fred, he's gone now. He'll listen to this when he edits it.
Anyway,
but if you go off, if you want that whole and I agree with Pete,
wander out into the wilderness thing, and
the loading screens. However, to put all those assets and all that distance into an engine, that the amount
it probably wouldn't run on your shiny new little black Xbox, Peter.
Exactly. It was like even to go into like an Unreal Engine or a Blender or any of those kind of those engines, just to actually sit there and move around your landscape, you've got to dial down the FPS that's in your viewfinder. And like I've got a high spec PC, and even in a high spec PC, even if I have that above 30 frames per second in that viewfinder, my PC sounds like it's going to actually take off.
Yeah.
And then I'm talking about the fact is the about putting all those assets of being able to free travel, Pete, into a Blender or an Unreal Engine.
Oh,
as nice as it would be to.
We went to a very weird place because there's only 6 polygons in these objects, whereas there's 6,000 in your blender.
Yeah, but I want to say is if like understand the complaints of like the the loading screens, and because I have the same complaint as well, it'd be nice to actually get into your shit.
But they've done this before.
Yeah, but I think with Starfield is they've definitely bitten off a lot more
than they can chew.
They can chew, they should never have come out and gone, we've got 1,000 planets, because it's like, you fucking idiots, like, because everyone's going to be like,
never shoot the moon and let people know you're doing it.
Promise, over deliver, man.
Because I was someone like, fuck yeah, I'll be able to run around, you'll be able to fly between your seats.
But they're procedurally generated, so that's my answer to your question, Tom. They are. Okay. So even within the scope of one planet, it's repetitive as fuck. Right? Yeah, there's only a couple of different planet level traits. Like there's probably 24 traits that you could pick from, but the planet is
rocky, snowy.
No, like things like a gravitational anomaly, and you walk up to this area and you discover it, and there's this weird arch of broken rocks just hovering in space, and that looks cool. Except as you explore the planet, there's like 6,000 of them because that planet has that trait.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you might go to like an abandoned factory and it might be 2 or 3 rooms filled with space pirates, and you kill them all and you loot it. But the planet is littered with that exact building or that exact style of building. The layout might be different and the space pirates are all the same. It's procedurally generated is how they feel. No Man's Sky does exactly the same thing, but No Man's Sky, you can smoothly travel from planet to space.
Yeah.
You can walk from one side of the planet to the other. It would take you probably 48 hours real life with a rubber band on your controller, but you could circumnavigate the planet. Because the scale of life is much bigger.
In 48 hours.
The scale of life is, and solar systems are humongous.
Yeah.
I get it. But so what I wrote down was, and No Man's Sky is the easiest comparison for a game of this scale, but No Man's Sky had no quests. This is a game that has Bethesda's treatment of quests. It's got a lot of fucking content in it. You can't do that procedurally. It's a curated game. It's a curated game. But so my overall opinion is it's got all the hallmarks of one of the most amazing games I've ever played, but it feels more like it was an early access. And while it might be groundbreaking in vision, it doesn't really push any boundaries in delivery yet. I've seen everything the game has to offer. I've seen implemented better in other games.
Right.
But the vision is to tie it all together seamlessly in one game, and no one's ever done that before. It just doesn't yet deliver on that. And so it's all going to come down to developer support for DLC and ongoing releases, ongoing content dumps. And if they do that,
which they will. Yeah.
They might do, 1 or 2 DLCs, or they'll do fortnightly dumps. It's one of the two.
They will, like, it's Bethesda. They will do like 2 or 3 years of patch notes and all that kind of stuff, and then a couple of months down the line they'll release.
I want vehicles.
DLC,
I want more
DLC 1, DLC 2,
and
DLC
more
3,
factions,
4,
because the faction system's awesome.
Yeah,
and the factions are interesting, and so far the quests are actually enthrallingly interesting.
Yeah,
I think they've for an actual for their vision is fantastic, and I think if they manage to pull off everything they've promised, it'll be fantastic. But you do pick up a lot of the kind of the what is lacking, but I think at this stage, with all their kind of little kind of quests, and they've given everyone enough, or at least for me anyway, enough shiny things through each of the planets to distract myself, so I don't have to bore down and.
Yeah, you have the choice to go chase those things, or the choice to go and
so I've gone like they've got some issues. I'm just going to go off and focus on the shiny stuff.
But that's Bethesda, man. Like, and this is why it's hard.
Well, this is my next thing, and I'm going to jump in now because you guys have talked about fucking Starfield for the last 16 years. No, I loved every second of it, but I have a real question for you, which is something that links back to my Skyrim playthrough and back to this subject as a core
RPGs
thing.
As a whole. Yep.
When you think about an RPG, and this goes back to probably Baldur's Gate and D&D for you, Pete, and the old strict roles you play.
Yep.
So when you play this is from my very limited view, and you can correct me if I'm 100% wrong. But when you play like a D&D game, or which is Baldur's Gate is heavily D&D influenced.
I think I know where you're going, man.
I think you might know where I'm going. But like the roles you can play are very strict. So you can do this, you can do this.
Yeah,
you can be.
There's no strictness in Bethesda games.
No. So like Skyrim is a perfect example. I am a sword wielding destruction mage. I shouldn't exist in the traditional sense of RPG.
There's no consequences for choice, and I would
in terms of your upgrades.
Correct. You're not locked into
traditional RPG things. Is that a good thing, or is that a better or a bad thing? Good thing, bad thing, whatever. Yeah.
I think it's less of an issue with Star Citizen. Oh, I'm going to get myself in trouble for saying that. The most expensive flop of a game ever built, Starfield. It's less of an issue with Starfield because you can be everything. You can be the superhero that maxes out skill points and everything. But I did the math the other day, and you have to be level 368 to hit the level, like the point cap on everything. And so, for all intents and purposes,
to get the point for that thing, to get the point cap in Skyrim, you need to be level 267, and it requires legendaring several skills multiple times.
Yeah, so you can be the all-singing, all-dancing hero if you put in 600 hours into the game. But at the same time, Ed's character is probably going to have early skill point allocations in completely different areas than I have. And they allow me to specialize in outpost building and resource management. And then shit building.
Yeah, I've
got no social skills, and I've got no weapon skills, and I've got no physical skills.
I've gone straight from like to max out my oxygen and my carrying abilities, so I can run away from people as fast as possible with all their stuff.
With all their shit.
Exactly. I want to steal as many foam cups as possible. I don't want to
you have all the foam cups you want, big boy. But the question I have for you now, Pete, to Ed, is compared to JPRGs and the roles that you play in those, does any of those skills compute like horizontally in terms of the way you build? Like I think of the way I built my Final Fantasy characters in 12, 10, and 15, like the ones I've really invested in. But like when you're talking about a massive RPG or a JPRG, do those, the way you build those character kind of models, like do they sideways leap, or do you think about it in a different way? As the guy who's from our three of us who's played more JPRGs than anyone.
Completely different. I think with JRPGs is how they build those RPGs where it's very hero driven, very very good versus evil, and you.
But do they have roles?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. If you look at the builds for Final Fantasy, they have
then you've got the builds. So for me, for those builds, and up until recently, and actually still like dominant is I'm very tanky. I'm very Leroy Jenkins. Just I'll
go in, take all the aggro.
Try the aggro. I'll just go for like the most outrageous stats and just.
But the RPGs can slot into different categories.
Exactly.
You talk about JRPGs, but World of Warcraft and EverQuest 2 were very role oriented. Diablo is very role oriented,
and I think this is probably. Yeah, I find with Starfield and we kind of touched on before and probably had this conversation across to, is that between like the JRPG kind of genre and the builds is very different to the Bethesda, because Bethesda, what I'm finding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the little kind of nuances in it. It's about, you can be like a sneaky snoy, space pirate, so you've got all these little different kind of offshoots that you can do, whereas JRPGs and those
it's more siloed in those other games.
Pretty much this is what you
it's
get.
Not JRPG, it's just a lot of other RPGs.
I wasn't trying to say it was just more, did you see more of a correlation between the two styles.
Playing them very, very differently.
Okay.
Very differently. As I said, I've gone from I go from playing Final Fantasy to being like the warrior of light and the hero to going to Starfield and just being the
because I just think back to like Final Fantasy X and 12 and I guess in a way 15, you kind of got like forced into the roles you had to put certain characters in. Like you can't make Titus in Final Fantasy X a pure mage type.
No, you can't. You kind of.
Whereas with the Bethesda game, you have more of that freedom.
Yeah, and there's lots of other RPGs like that.
That's true, but I'm just thinking of the ones that we know best.
Final Fantasy did actually venture into that kind of like they branched out in like what roles you can actually choose in 14, and but that's an MMO, so you can have the one character, and you can be a tank, DPS, or healer, or ranged DPS or ranged magic. But that's MMO, so that's like World of Warcraft. But it's
EQ2.
So
and Diablo and
everything
Baldur's Gate.
But in 16, say, like what happens in 16?
Yeah, 16 is purely story driven. However, the one game, Final Fantasy game that's come out recently is that you have a character that you can change from being a tank to a healer to DPS. Actually, change your actual character style is Final Fantasy Strangers of Paradise.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right.
So you've got you unlock this massive skill tree that unlocks different classes. So you can actually then go off and choose the style of character that you want to be.
Compared to being locked in like you were
Compared to being locked in. And then you can go off and do, and on top of that is you can be halfway through a mission of Stranger of Paradise.
Yeah.
And then change from being, you might have like a paladin, like a tank melee DPS combination to a healer and magic.
Whereas I think of like Dragon Age, which I'm struggling to get through the nightmare playthrough of 4 still for 17 years, but the guides I read say, oh, you should have played that as a range, but it's like, oh, I'm never gonna play a range character. Like,
which is funny because
how dare you assume that I'm not gonna run in there swords blazing like.
But Tom, you are the textbook definition of a hunter. Everything I know about you, you are a World of Warcraft hunter who accidentally... He's like, I got this, guys. I got the longest range in the game. Don't worry, I'm going to pull aggro for just the ads. I won't get the boss, and then pulls the whole fucking dungeon. You're just that guy.
Catch me if you can, motherfuckers.
And I say that in the most endearing, loving kind of way.
No, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Yeah.
So I've gone from being a tank in Final Fantasy 14 to a machinist, which is your hunter. But it's like the long range, and the thing is, as soon as the tank goes down, I pull
you're all
aggro.
fucked anyway.
Yeah, like you're fucked, but I pull the aggro. But it's just that type
That's World of Warcraft. So I think kind of tying this back, because we're going to talk about fourth beers and we're going to run out. But tying this back, I think Bethesda specifically, it's not the only studio, but they make RPGs where there are no builds.
They throw out the builds.
There are no builds. You can put points in whatever the fuck you want. You can put 10 points in gunplay, 10 points in melee, and 10 points in lockpicking. And you don't really fit the paradigm of this stealthy assassin who doesn't really kill anybody apart from backstabbing because he's full of guns and stabbies. Whereas other games would make you a thief and you would have a very stylized role to play. Bethesda games just don't go down that path. It doesn't make them any less of an RPG.
I recently played the Skyrim Thieves Guild playthrough, like the whole quest playthrough in full Nordic
fucking plate armor,
like heavy battle armor. Yeah,
I love that in
because I just cast muffle on everything and then I moved silently.
The one thing to go back to Starfield and being like when you talk about the costumes. Pete, have you got the the mascot alien outfit?
No.
You do I've done a quest where they give you an alien out, so you scare tourists, and you get this
In Starfield?
Yep. So I've got it, and I can wear it, and I can run around as a big fucking alien. I'm like,
the Terramorph. The one thing I will say that Bethesda has always done very successfully is nods to pop culture, right?
Yeah.
And I've already played a quest that was Dodgson and Newman. So it was a letter from Dodgson to Newman, which is a reference to both Jurassic Park and the actor that Dodgson's talking to, who plays Newman in Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And it's just pop culture references like that. They're quite tangential. You've got to.
always excelled at that. Yeah.
Fucking oath. Critical Role was the best example, Tom, of role playing the fact that they're in plate armor and always fucking running into a room. Everyone else is trying to be stealthy, and then clank, 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 clank comes along the paladin in plate armor, and perfectly played by the lovely lady who plays Elle in
the thing in the Critical Role.
No, Elle in Ellie in The Last of Us. What's her name?
Ashley Eckstein?
No,
that's Ahsoka.
Ashley Johnson. Thank you.
Close. Pretty close.
You were
though.
close.
Yeah.
You were close.
Well
I'm
done,
impressed.
brain thing.
So Ashley Johnson, her character is the dwarf paladin in Critical Role's first thing, and she always just fucks up every fight because everyone else is trying to be stealthy, and she's clink, 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 and everybody sees it.
Yep.
Anyway, we should talk about fourth beers.
We should talk about fourth beers.
Yes, because I'm just about done.
Yeah. Tom,
I'll
do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm doing a
double
two-parter.
beer?
Yeah. So I've got Anna and Elsa. I am this far through both of them.
Nice.
They were both 500ml cans, and they have both disappeared. They're very, very well made, which is the only thing you'd really like. If you walked into two beers that had both been made by Mountain Culture and Bolter, you'd probably go, you know what? Both those beers are going to be really well made for an IPA style.
Two beers, but not one glass, two glasses.
No. It's definitely not two girls, one cup. I said it. You were referring to it, and I just went there.
I think that's episode title.
No,
two beers, one glass.
It is definitely not the episode title. Jesus fucking Christ.
2 cups, 2 beers.
Oh no, one guy, one cup.
No, Tom, carry on.
Stop. Everyone stop. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Anna West Coast. Shut up, the two of you. Mute yourselves, you muted fucks.
Lemonparty.org.
Yep. Best bookmark I've ever put on my mate's computer. So Anna is the West Coast IPA. Like the can design itself is really cool in that it's not quite just the direct opposite of each other. I don't know if you can see that. So the white top flips, but then the inside
they've cut the image
that
out.
Flips. That flips as well.
Yeah, cool.
So it's the silver can on the Nipah is the bottom, whereas it's the silver middle there.
Yep.
Very, very cool design. So the Anna West Coast IPA is slightly less. It is 7% as opposed to 7.3.
Jesus.
It is super piney. It is very citrusy. Of the two, having them side by side, I think I would lean to saying it's more balanced. The bitterness is really subtle, but it then comes through. It's like almost like a slow build for that bitterness coming through from your West Coast style. But it's a really long finish. Like the beer doesn't die off as soon as you take you swallow the beer in your mouth. That lingers on, which is very much what I look for in a beer. I really like a long finish, especially in a West Coast IPA. I want that bitterness to hang around. When I turn to the Elsa, which is the Nipah, straight away the nose is so much more powerful. It's like, and I don't know if this is a reflection on the style or like the way the hops play with that style of beer, but it hit me straight away how it was super aromatic. And then as I drank it, the hops seemed so much more pronounced. Not to say that it was out of balance, but I think just from the way that you use the hops in a NEPA compared to a West Coast, it's a lot more in your face. Super pillowy. Like the mouthfeel was it was drinking clouds. It was literally just like it was super soft. Despite the like intenseness of the hoppy characters coming through compared to not like a sharpness of the West Coast. The West Coast was well-rounded. It was very flavorful, but it wasn't as soft and smooth as the NEPA was. In terms of the two, look, the West Coast was cleaner, but the NEPA was fuller. It is really splitting hairs between these two. Like the way they brewed them,
they made two amazing beers. I mean, that's not.
But they've made two amazing beers, which you would expect anyway. But the way there are such little subtle differences that like play against each other, it's almost like watching the same movie directed by two different directors. And I don't know which one Mountain Culture led and which one Balta led, which is really cool.
That's actually really cool. That is really cool. That's kind of adds to.
I know having the extra 0.3% in the NEPA probably added something to it.
Well, I reckon they would have turned it on its head. I reckon Mountain Culture, being known for their NEPAs, would have done the West Coast.
Yeah, but Balta's known for them too, which is look, I'm
sure we can reach out to.
I'm sure we can ask them, and they'll probably reveal it as well. I don't think they're going to try to keep it a secret. I just don't know, and I like the fact that I don't know. I am leaning towards the West Coast. I love an NEPA. I love the West Coast. Look, they are. If I have to pick one to be a winner by a quarter point, it is Anna is a 4.5 and Elsa is a 4.25. Yeah, I just think the balancedness of Anna as the West Coast just takes it past the NEPA.
Yeah, nice.
I would really love good old Portugal Dan to be able to taste these two because I'd love his brewer's opinion. Yeah. I'd love many brewers' opinions on these. But I also know how quickly these beers sold out. I got the last can of Anna that was on the shelf at the Union where I got the two. Like I literally walked in and the dude was grabbing for it. I was like, "Fuck you!" Like, get out of my way. Nice. Yeah, they're both very, 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 very well brewed beers, which you'd expect from two world class brewers. But yeah, just really feel like that West Coast just inches it out. Yeah. But amazing display of same beer, same hops, just different styles.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah,
Ed.
I have got another WA beer, which is Nail Brewing.
Good old Nail.
Yeah, so they're limited release red carpet. So it's their Imperial Red Ale. So
good man, finishing strong.
Yeah, you're talking.
So they say we sent our famous Nail Red to hell, and the devil sent it back stronger. Tread carefully between sweet caramel malt flavors, balanced citrus, floral, and hops aromas. And I read that description after I pretty much I got that much left.
Yeah.
And like
fucking 9.5%. How you going?
It's 8.6.
Yeah, but it's only 7 o'clock over there. Gotta remember
8.4 APV, but ABV. Yeah. But it is like you get that the when you eat a caramel, you get that kind of coating in your mouth.
Yeah.
I get that with the kind of citrus you get from like a pale ale. You get the hoppiness, and it is just as it's warmed up. It's one of those beers where you can just sit there and sip on and. I should have got a few more of those. That's just like
you wouldn't want to drink them in one sitting.
No. You like if I
that's
had
your
one
uncle talk.
Like it's one of the. It's definitely the nightcap where you can sit around.
It's only 9.3. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a very nice.
So what's the ABV? Because I'm getting conflicting information. You've got a can that says 8.4.
Yeah.
And Untapped says 9.5.
Yes, but Untapped requires
multiple people
requires the brewery to update it when they do a new version of it. They changed
September
it.
2023, man.
Yeah.
ABV 8.4, silent and pure red, IBU 50.
Yeah, right. Okay. Out of 5? With your chewy toffee goodness.
That is. It reminds me of the the Anzac, the oats and caramel, the Running with Thieves did a few years ago.
Oh yeah. I remember the one you talking about.
The one that I did on a 5-year anniversary, and it's I'm
score, man. Stop rabbiting on.
Stop padding.
I'm going to go big 4.75. This is. I'm liking this.
Big dog.
For end of the night, kind of end of conversation. This has been perfect.
What are you talking about? It sounds like a conversation starter. If anything, get me a fucking can of that post haste.
But yeah, it's it's almost perfect. I'm leaving 0.25 off because it's my final year end.
Dogs can improve.
Yes, they can improve.
Anyway, Peter, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Hawker's 2023 brew of the Imperial. Sorry, no, it's not Imperial. The Bourbon Barrel Aged White Stout. So the can looks like that, and
it's got Krampus on it.
Can is beautiful.
Krampus. He steals your
Hmm.
children, replaces them with coal.
I go straight to American Dad. Yeah, Krampus episode.
Beer is fantastic. It's it's a pleasantly light vanilla and chocolate white stout.
Ooh.
Doesn't have that traditional malty fullness to it. It's quite light and refreshing in being a white stout, but you still get all of the stout flavors, which are, there's a little bit of coffee right on the edge, but mainly it's vanilla, it's white chocolate. It's not that real Caribe chocolate. It's just that nice, smooth, blended chocolate.
Yeah.
6%, no bitterness
only
to speak
6%?
of. Yeah.
Wow.
True. Far out.
I'm glad that I ended up with the 6, not the 10. Because I'm a bit pissy now, but thoroughly enjoyable. I like a white stout because it's like you get all of the flavor profile of a traditional stout.
Yeah.
But it's a little lighter. Little more refreshing, a little less heavy.
Yes.
So yeah. No, I'm gonna give that a very high score, I think. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Hot diggity fucking damn.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's an excellent beer to finish. I'm quite happy with that. 6%, 4.5. Write it down before Pete forgets.
Well, while he writes that down, Ed, are you winning, son?
I am winning. I actually won big on Thursday night.
This is not a pokies story.
There's no pokies in WA apart from Star Casino. I think it's Star. No, it's Crown.
Wow, I did not know that.
Didn't you know that?
They're a good state,
which is
fuck pokies.
Fantastic because you
totally changes the dynamic on pubs, right?
Yeah. The thing is, like, you come to WA, the beers are a little bit more expensive, but in saying that, no pokies.
You walk into a venue, there's no fucking pokies, and you feel good.
It's great. It's great coming from Queensland, coming from Brisbane.
Sorry, I totally derailed that.
Anyway,
did not know that. Sorry.
Also, most of the pubs I went to when I was in WA were made of sandstone, and that was delightful.
Yeah, it's if you ever cross this way,
The mean diddler.
But am I winning?
There was no diddling involved.
So am I winning?
Not on this trip.
After 3 years of playing Final Fantasy 14, my one thing that I wanted was a large housing plot.
Right.
So starting off the first 18 months on the Japanese servers, and the old kind of housing plot system, there was freaking zero chance of me ever getting one. Australian servers, dropped like.
So wait, you had to fight for the chance to build a
Yeah,
house?
so it was
so it's the same as the Australian rental market. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you had to sit there if one became available, you had to sit there and click a button.
Wow.
And it was it was a window opening. So you just had to be lucky enough that you clicked the button, clicked buy at the right time that the actual the RNG said it's up for sale, but it had like a window, like a 7-day window.
Right.
And you had to sit there and camp and click buy.
This is Final Fantasy which 14?
14, correct.
Which is the massive. This is the
MMORPG.
Yeah. So anyway,
so you got some land.
So start of last year, they opened up to. Did
they not just build more land?
No. So they wouldn't because
it is digital land after all.
It was fucking elusive, right? So anyway.
Right.
So then the
talk about this is the Rolex of video games.
So this was actually like
a rareness.
Yeah. So they
and can we just point out? Did you have to pay actual
real
money?
world money?
No.
Okay.
No. This is I had to pay.
You just had to.
I had to earn gil.
You had to jerk off enough digital monkeys to get your plot of land.
I had to do freaking daily quests. I had to do all that shit. But anyway, so they open up the Australian service and they change it so it was an actual lottery. So so many people buy a ticket and then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
but there's no gambling in WA. So
no. But this is
pokies in WA.
There's no pokies in WA. So anyway, that was like start of last year, but like a large
plot,
plot is 40 million gil.
Yes.
And then you've actually got to have.
And how much per quest gil would you earn?
So you if you did I've been doing one daily roulette dungeon and some dailies, just enough to keep me so I don't set myself insane.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep it enjoyable as well. So. Yeah,
to roll those over.
The daily,
the weekly, and the monthly.
I worked out that I was kind of you do about 50,000 gil per day, and that was and that was about an hour and a half of gameplay type thing.
Right.
So it's
So it's still a substantial amount to earn, but not to the point where you're spending a year and a half.
Yeah, so it's pretty much me getting home in the evening, logging in, kind of just chilling out,
do a quest or two,
doing my thing, yada yada. Right, cool. So anyway, won the lottery for this large plot 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
because I was one entry.
So you literally just won the lottery for the plot of land.
And I won it because I was one of one. I was like, yes, I can't lose.
That's good stats, baby. That's good stats.
I like those odds. And then I had to go off and earn. I had to go off and buy a building permit, which is 3 million gil. So
this is really role playing here.
Yeah, so I had to go.
You got to go through council and approve your build before you can put in a pool.
And this goes
fill in the form in triplicate.
Yeah, so this is going back to RPG because I was like, "Fucking, I'm just doing extra." And this is full on RPG.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm grinding away on Thursday. I'm I have 300,000 gil left to go. Fucking sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. I'm like,
just put your dick in a glory hole and just hope for the best.
I've got mail. What's this freaking? I've got
blowjob knows no gender.
Yeah, it's do I have to work? Do I have to start working the streets or what? So anyway, get these letters in the in my Moggle mail.
Right.
What the fuck is this? So a dude from my guild sent me 3 million gil, so I could have the.
This literally sounds like you're prostituting yourself for a plot of land.
This is pretty much, and this is what RPGs do. They take
this is what JRPGs do specifically.
They take you out of your reality
JRPGs
and put you into another reality.
The grind is real.
The grind is
Just putting it out there.
the grind is very
That
real.
might be the other title for
That
the
could
fucking
be the
episode.
title. I think that could be the title.
It's I've got a hemorrhoid pillow for a reason, all right?
I can't put that as a title. We're moving on.
Long story short,
I've got my I've got a plot of, like a large plot of land, and I've got a house.
That's taking you how long to achieve?
3 years since I started playing the game.
That's
Jesus.
well done, mate. Well done.
Big ups to Ed.
That's 3 years of
Fuck, man. I think of all the time I lost into Destiny and Destiny 2. I could never do that. To just literally buy a fake plot of land to put my house on.
That's
I absolutely salute my hat to you. Yeah.
I mean, I've taken time off. That's kind of like I'm not going to send myself nuts and play nonstop.
But the serotonin dump is also real. So I've talked about this before, and I'm not going to talk about it now because the episode's already way over. But World of Warcraft is a grind. EverQuest 2 puts it to shame.
Oh, yeah, no.
EQ2 hunting rare mobs for a piece of fur
getting that new gun in Destiny, 100%.
Yeah. Ed,
we're all suckers for it.
You're clearly winning. You didn't even mention Starfield, which is somewhat surprising.
Pete, just get your stuff out of the way and talk about how you're winning in that.
That is, Starfield is a good transition, so I can move on.
You can go thieve a house from someone.
I can thieve, steal, lie, cheat,
dog.
Just do everything that
Peter, how is Starfield treating you?
I'm like I said, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I mean, I'm critical of it because I want it to be the game that I think it could easily be.
Yeah, it has potential.
So as a framework, they've done a fucking magnificent job of tying together very different game genres into one contiguous, seamless game.
Yeah.
It needs some quality of life fixes and it needs continuous content dumps. And I mean, every month they need to be releasing net new content, not just fixing bugs, not just release note patches. They need to be adding, here's another 50 outpost items, whether they're mechanical or just pretty like furniture mods, whatever. They need to add vehicles to Overland in a few months' time. They need to add quests in 6 months' time. If they can, if they can support it that much, it really could be the RPG of the century or whatever their fucking stupid ass claim was. This is the most important RPG to drop. It could be that. It's nowhere near that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. If they can jam everything they're promising into that game, it will be genre changing. But
exactly.
They need to prove it. They need to
for the first net new intellectual property that Bethesda have developed in over 20 years. I really hope they do. I really hope they do.
No. Yeah. Yep. Fact check that in my mind. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Tom, are you winning, son?
Of course I'm winning. I'm still playing fucking Skyrim. I'm the king of the world. Yeah, I said to you guys as well, I dived straight into the Dragonborn DLC, which I've never played before, and it's very Lovecraftian. So, if you really love the Lovecraftian world, this is definitely up your alley. It's a new island. It's takes you back to Morrowind. So, if you've played the series, it's a nice little kickback. Even to the point where they play some of the Morrowind music, I've noticed, which I think is really cool. So they've gone back to that. But yeah, I sent one to Dan the other day because he never played it. But it's like one of the monsters you fight now is called a Seeker, and it's just Cthulhu. You are literally fighting Cthulhu. And Dan was like, "Holy shit, I am so aroused," because he loves Lovecraftian. Yeah, so it's super cool. I'm right in the middle of that. And then it's look, I'm sitting at 76% of my way through the entire Skyrim and DLC, all the trophies.
I'm looking forward to that.
Well, I don't want it to finish.
and that's what I've been thinking. I'm like, Tom should have finished this by now, but he doesn't want it to finish.
Actually, I haven't touched my PS5 controller this week, and I am very sad. I am so sad. I hate everything. Everything sucks.
Just very randomly, Tom, just on that topic, I went through a pair of AA batteries in my controller in one weekend. And I am very glad. And I haven't done the math on the break even, but I paid $35 to Amazon on the spot for 2 lithium-ion rechargeable battery packs for my controller.
No,
and I've not looked back. Because it 48 hours, 2 days.
Yeah.
And then I've spent a lot of hours playing the game through the course of the week with the lithium ion pack, and I haven't had to recharge. So, fuck Xbox with their really nice controller.
I can't believe they've still got AA batteries. They still use AA batteries.
Oh, I can.
But the rechargeable pack is like an Alibaba brand, and it fucking lasts 100 hours.
Yeah,
and you can USB-C charge it while you're playing. It gives you a 10-meter cable.
Yeah.
So why not just include it in the fucking pack, you dopey bastards? I've also just quickly, the Starfield controller has lovely texturized rubber backing.
Is that one of the? Is that a pro controller or not? It's just a regular one.
Just a regular controller, but it's Starfield themed.
Yeah.
But instead of using the hard plastic sandpaper that I fucking hated on the back of the original Xbox controller, it's got this lovely soft grey rubber.
Yeah, it really much more comfortable.
Yeah. So I got one of those the Xbox Pro controllers from a national carrier for free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And for Starfield and PC gaming,
a national carrier,
telecom company.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it.
No, just curious, please. They just dropped it off to him for randomly.
Yeah.
Is he really saying that he used his Qantas points? I can't.
No. You get the. So I found out 12 months ago.
He's done it with Telstra with their fucking silver points or whatever.
Yeah. Apparently, I had a heap of points. I'm like, what am I going to spend it on? Because I want to buy something. And I was like, I'll try one of those controllers for when I play on PC, and I'll tell you what,
makes a difference.
Yeah,
it makes a difference. And for playing games on PC, compared to a PS5 controller, but I jump on a PS5 and I still.
Yeah, but you get native Microsoft driver support in the operating system through the Xbox controller. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I got a similar notification about my Lego points are about to expire, and I had 20,000 VIP points, and I logged in, and there's nothing I can spend them on. There's literally nothing.
You not add them to a purchase?
No.
Points with purchase?
No.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
No, you make points from purchase, but unless you're in America and you want tickets to their Lego world, there's nothing you can spend the points on. Anyway, how good is Tom's cabinet?
Look at my new
lights, man. Just closing thoughts.
I'm like, dude, that's a win right there.
It looks really good. It's overexposed at the moment, and that almost as an introduction to your cabinet, that works better.
The hammer looks
because you get
rad.
shapes. Yeah.
Milner looks freaking.
Yeah, I'll put some yellow cellophane on the lights and
meow
meow. Anyway, I think that's us. I think we're silly enough. Yes. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Ed, for joining us. We very much appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah.
From the other side of this very large country. It's only 3:00 in the afternoon over there, isn't it?
I wish.
In 1945.
Yeah, I was going to say 77 years in the past. But yeah,
it's still World War II over there. Yes, well done.
Those goddamn Nazis.
Well, I mean that tracks with the modern day.
I can't believe you did that math in your head instantly. Then Ed, when you said 77 years,
that was actually pure luck.
Well, it was 78 years between 1945 and now, but that was pretty fucking close.
I'm gonna take the red carpet because that was pure luck.
Yeah, well done.
Magic carpet at this point.
Pretty much.
Well, thank you very much for listening, as always, folks, and we'll see you shortly.
In the very near future. Thank you again, Ed. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks,
No worries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night.
All right. Good night. Fuck you, Peter.
Bye.